Hello, and thank you so much for joining us. This is your ROH post show. I'm so excited to have Reg back this week. Very happy to hear all about his experience at Supercard of Honor, his crazy WrestleMania weekend. Very excited to talk some ROH with everyone in the chat. We thank Mike from Indeed for hanging out with us last week, and Kylie, who absolutely killed it on the Supercard of Honor show as well. But we got Reg back here today, and Reg, you were at Supercard, which is why you couldn't sit in with me. And before you were even at Supercard, you were too busy going to all of the exciting, wonderful events, like the media man that you are. Before we dive into anything, I'm going to ask y'all to send in your super chats and your humper chats at humperchats.com. We'll talk about Supercard a little bit before we dive in here, but overall, Reg, what was the experience like being there, and what was your WrestleMania weekend extravagant? It's just really wrestling weekend at this point. Yeah. It's not even WrestleMania weekend. It's just wrestling Christmas, we'll call it for now.
Totally. It was fun, super fun. I got to connect with my podcast brothers, Will and Phil. That was the best part, of course. Anytime I get to be live and in color with them at any space, it's great. WrestleMania weekend, it's fitting that this is the ROH show that I talk about WrestleMania weekend on, because ROH has been synonymous with every single WrestleMania weekend that I've had. I think this was my 11th WrestleMania weekend, the very first one that I had in 2009. My most exciting show besides WrestleMania at the time was the Ring of Honor show. I went to a Ring of Honor show, had a blast. It was great. Every single time that I've been to WrestleMania weekend, it's been for the Ring of Honor show. This Ring of Honor show happened because I was like, hey, every time that I come to a WrestleMania weekend, Tony Khan, there's a Ring of Honor show. You should do it again. And he did it again, and we watched it. This show was, first of all, we could have just had one match and I would have been good, because after Commander and Vikingo, I was like, put me to bed, tuck me in, and sing me a bedtime story, because I'm out of here. That match blew my brains. I was just sitting, watching in amazement, all the flips, everything I could have imagined of that match. It was that one of the best opening matches ever in the history of not just Ring of Honor, of wrestling. Like, that was perfect spot foo. I loved it. I was happy. I was crying. I was slapping hands, all kind of great shit. Everything about it was amazing. The worst part, of course, ladder match. Tag team ladder match.
Poor Dante, man.
Dante Martin just took the wins all out of my cells. I couldn't recover after that. Like, I couldn't appreciate the main event as much as I wanted to, just because I was like, Dante, man, that was just so unfortunate what happened. That super Canadian destroyer off the ladders onto the tables, and is just an unfortunate thing that happened after a really great match, after what was going on to be a really great show. Still, it was a great show, but that was just a really unfortunate event that happened. But other than that, great time. When I got on Twitter, people were saying the crowd was not that great, and I don't know. I had a great time. I guess I just was really zoned out into the show. Really fun for me. Ring of Honor did it again. Wrestling wise, it was a great in-ring show. So I'm super excited about what happened and coming out of it. This show, have some reservations about them filming after Dynamite. I didn't really love it, if I'm keeping it real.
Yeah, I think it's tricky because they set and established one vibe and then kind of went in another direction. And that's already such a loaded live experience that we've heard rumors of the Saturday show. I'm wondering, I just feel like, and this is Jeff Jarrett's space. Okay.
Yes.
So you should stay off my television and focus on this. No, I think, sincerely, I think it would be really cool to have a Rampage ROH traveling product outside of your Dynamite tapings, if that's possible. Because it's just such a loaded live experience, and I feel like the Rampages already gets deflated a little bit. So this was it was definitely a little stilted in the environment. But to what you were saying before about the crowd not coming through for Supercard, I think it's just miking. We've seen that a couple of times with AEW and ROH in particular. Just happens sometimes. I'm glad that you had fun. I'm glad you're here. We missed you last week so much.
Thanks
Very
to the homies
excited.
for representing. That was super cool of y'all to stand in for me. I was out there having a good time, enjoying myself, being at the scrum super late after I wouldn't even have had time to do the damn post show because Tony Khan likes to cook. He's like, ask all the questions that you want ever, go for it, and we just like started going for it.
Much to the chagrin of our own Jeremy Lambert, Tony Khan does have very long post scrums, but you know what? We get our questions answered. We get to talk about it. Reg gets to become a legend in front of our eyes every time he has one.
Easy.
So we love it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's dive in. Well, let's pull back a little bit. Were there any overall thoughts? A lot of people were calling this Supercard of Sadness because we had Eddie losing, we had Jay losing. I feel like with Jay,
Mark.
Oh,
yeah.
With Mark,
Ian did the same thing on the show. He called Mark Jay at one point on the show today, and it's like,
I know. I just every time because the thing that I keep going back to, that moment in the match where he goes to tag for Jay, I just immediately started crying. I don't know if any single move at a match has evoked such an immediate reaction as that did. I just immediately was crying. So that was a bummer.
And then when he got into the at the scrum too, he like really got into coming back after his brother's just like, whoo, my heartstrings are being tugged.
Yeah, yanked out of our chests. And then Eddie, I don't think it was a booking mistake necessarily. I don't know if it was the best call to not leave people with something to grab onto to be happy about with your first major pay-per-view in the reboot. That one felt like there was a little more story. Eddie Kingston not going over feels like a mistake for a few reasons story-wise. One, I just think you can't keep going back to the well with Eddie on this type of story. Two, his character had changed with it. And three, Claudio's just doing so much in AEW realistically. Like, I don't want him to be a part-time champion, and I also don't want him to be taking bumps 6 times a week or whatever.
Right.
Like,
totally, yeah.
I think Eddie would have been a good call, but some people are hypothesizing Eddie Kingston and Samoa Joe. So holy cow.
I like it. I love it. I'm into it. But yeah, I kind of feel like the same way that you do. Like Eddie needs a big win. We can't keep telling the story that he's a big loser and then he's a big loser after we tell him he's a big loser for so often. Like eventually we have to see Eddie win. And beyond that, we all want to see him win so many times. All the time that he's had the big matches in AEW, we're all like, Eddie Kingston, Eddie Kingston, Eddie Kingston. He never gets it. And then for him not to get it again, it definitely was defeating. The crowd definitely was like, this isn't the shit we came for. What's going on here?
Yes. It did lead to some interesting post-match. I thought a lot of the show was a home run. And I don't know what your experience with the 0 hour was, if you were there for it.
I was.
I thought it was really, I love the 0 hour for, I guess because this is just my favorite type of wrestling presentation in general. The 0 hour for me is just always like the best appetizer before the show, like
totally
of any kind of pre-show, whatever. I was happy to see some returning talent too, and Hot Sauce, and then Miranda Alizé. That made me happy. Anytime Jeff Cobb is out there. So I thought the 0 hour was really strong too, but I'm curious. You were there for the whole stretch.
Yeah. It's exactly like you were saying. It's like an appetizer, even for the fans, because you know what it takes to get into a wrestling show. You got to travel, you got to park, you got to walk to the venue, you got to stand in line. There's so much going on, and then to finally get your snacks, get your whatever, and get to your seat. And then they start bringing out the heat. Jeff Cobb's here. Like, anytime Jeff Cobb's starting a show, people are really excited when his name just pops up on the screen. And Ring of Honor always loves to lay it out for you pretty well, so you kind of know what to expect in their full show. And this 0 hour was exactly that. Just like Willow's here, like there's all these really cool elements that were put into it. You get to kind of gauge what the crowd's going to be, and you get to see what you're about to expect going into this. Just like the show today, I think very inaugural part, we have to talk about Nigel McGuinness, I think, because he adds
going to take the conversation there.
So much to this presentation. It was like the presentation was great with Ian and Caprice. They're amazing. And then you get Nigel and you're like, oh, this is the team right here. This is everything you need. It really shined through when they had the pure title match today with Shibata and Christopher Daniels, because it's like Nigel's been in there with Christopher Daniels. This is what he did in the match with Christopher Daniels. He used to be the pure champion. It's like telling a great story. So seeing Nigel live was amazing. And then to know how much he's going to bring to the Ring of Honor product, it's like, damn, what a great pickup.
And he's all elite. He got the graphics.
He's all elite.
That's awesome. Brett Lockman agreeing, and so do I wholeheartedly. Nigel had so much to what was already a truly awesome thing. Happy wrestling, you two. Well, happy wrestling to you, Brent. Fully agree. Reg, there was a moment on commentary on the pay-per-view where Caprice was shouting out his wife of almost 20 years. He was like, next month, it's 20 years. And Nigel McGuinness just goes, sounds like less time for murder.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's like, I love Ian and Caprice so much. I talk about it all the time. They're like already my favorite duo, but that guy coming in and just holding the position he does. I've said before, like, it doesn't feel like he's coming in there to be a heel commentator. It feels like he's coming in there to share his point of view, which usually leans kind of heel.
Exactly.
Really, really strong.
It's crazy that what was going on yesterday with a certain Mr. Regal, because like to know that like Nigel's kind of coming in to do all that same shit, but like he's going to add this extra element to the Ring of Honor product. And he's kind of bringing that Ring of Honor, that William Regal heel style commentary to it too. It's like, interesting. Things are getting interesting over here.
It is. And of course they announced Wembley too. So I mean, my God, what a
like, you know, that would have been Regal on that announcement if he was here. It's like
100%. 100%. See what having a son does to you. I'm not giving my loyalties to anybody else. Get out of here. But we will dive into tonight's show, which was a fantastic one from an in-ring perspective. I agree. I didn't love the post-Dynamite taping as much, but the real nerd saying, wanted to stop in and say hi. I was at Supercard last Friday, and it was such a fun show. You should have found Reg. Gotta go bug these guys. We're not wrestlers at an airport.
No.
Go say hi to them.
Yes, please.
Wish Eddie had won the ROH title, but hopefully his time will come soon. Happy wrestling, guys. Happy wrestling to you. I hope it does too. I don't know if they're running it back. I don't know what the plans are, but my man needs a win. My partner over here, all right? He is a big win. And momentum off of that win. Like, I always felt like him beating Jericho was such a great moment, and then it didn't really go anywhere. So... Tim Gordon asking, somewhat unrelated, what do you think the odds of Rey Mysterio at All In are? According to our own resource page on Fightful.com, which is really, really a great place for where all that stuff gets housed. Rey is signed through 2023. The way the angle he is in is white hot. I don't see him probably leaving that anytime soon, but Reg, there are some other contracts that are going to be up, and I'm very intrigued to see what happens with some of the UK talent, if any of this might be planned, because I do think they're going to have to work their butt off to draw. Arthur Ashe is 10,000 and change. This is 90,000 change.
This is a big, super huge difference that's going to be going on here. One on Rey Mysterio. Yeah, just like you said, Kate, he's in a super white hot angle with the sun. I don't think he's like itching at the bit to get out of there. They're about to have a giant interaction with Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico. He's going to the moon. He doesn't care about anything else. He's having a great time over there. As far as Wembley, I think they're going to have to bring everything that they have out. They're going to have to bring all the UK. There's going to have to be Pac. There's going to have to be Will Ospreay. There's going to be at the Zack Sabre Jr., Claudio. They just signed Jay White. They're going to have to bring everybody in the world that they have to make this work. I think there's a lot of ways that they can have a successful go at this. I don't think it's going to be hard for this to be a disappointment, I feel. Like they're gonna, whatever number they do is gonna be a good number, like a great number. So like it's a win-win for me, I think.
Yeah, if they put up a really strong number, I think that's when you got to start saying, okay, this is a real deal. If they're pulling anywhere near 90, if they pull 70 in a one night show, that's a big deal, I think.
Yeah.
it's going to be hard for.
I think anything over like 30 is like, yeah, that's crazy. So
yeah, that is it's wild, and it's just awesome that it's a possibility. So good stuff. But let's dig into tonight's episode.
Yeah.
It started off with Mark Briscoe and the Lucha Brothers versus Shane Taylor and the WorkHorsemen. I have been whining about the WorkHorsemen not being on my TV for a very long time. I was very happy to see this. Sunny Kiss is next. They keep putting my favorites back on. I wanted Shane Taylor. I wanted the WorkHorsemen. I wanted the Wingmen, and I got to see my pretty Peter fight Jericho not long ago. We're chipping away at Kane's dream list here, but but this was a really fun match. A little predictable, but I'm not mad about it at all.
We're still going that route, which is kind of driving me crazy. I thought like we've been talking about it on this show, like after the pay-per-view, we started establishing a little bit more, but I felt like this and in the Rush and Dralistico match, it was like, I don't want to keep having these like squash type matches when there are teams like the WorkHorsemen and a million other teams that could be having these more competitive matches. I don't know how many more of these squash type matches we need to see.
And my bigger thing with this was like, I don't think, God bless them, I don't think Shane Taylor and the WorkHorsemen are going to be like a trio.
No,
so
not at all.
I was hoping
0%.
Yeah, for a little bit more delineation. And that might take a little bit of time still, but I figured it was like, we had our pre-tape, we had our pay-per-view. This is who's in ROH. This is who is in AEW, and here's the clear lines of how they compete.
And it's like with the Lucha Bros and Mark Briscoe, like the Lucha Bros just won the tag team titles. Why don't they do a tag match? Like, why are they now trios? Like, we don't need more trios. If they're the tag team champs, why don't they be over there? So I don't really understand what's going on here. Great to see Mark Briscoe on every show. Like, if there's a Ring of Honor show and he's on it, I don't care what position he's in, it's going to be great. So that part is great. But just kind of throwing this team together, I guess maybe after the pay-per-view, I think I wanted it to be like more like we're establishing what's going on next. But I mean, I don't know what we're really building to. We're just kind of going for it at this point.
Yeah, I kind of had that too. This is kind of the blessing and the Achilles heel a little bit of ROH is it's like, I love that because I like having a deeper story to sink my teeth into, but the work rate is so high at ROH that I'm like, I care, but I don't care as much because I'm like,
it's gonna work out at some point.
And we're gonna talk about it later, but Caprice alluding to wanting to stay in the top 5 in the rankings and stuff. I'm like, okay, those are still sticking around. Like, so there's gonna be very clear lines very soon. I think I just figured like it was gonna be off and running to capitalize on the pay-per-view here, but this is perfectly fine. Briscoe gets the win with the Jay Driller to Henry. I also was kind of like, I don't know if the WorkHorsemen should be losing in their ROH debut. I'm hoping they're going to be sticking around. But Mark Briscoe and the Lucha Brothers was a really fun combination because they're just so different. After the match, QTV himself, Reg, and
my big homie. Yeah.
They were shown in the crowd because they have a tag title shot coming up on Battle of the Belts.
Yeah.
So Battle of the Belts shaping up to be another, all the titles get defended, not to switch hands.
Yes.
Hour of television.
Thanks for telling us again, Tony. We're having fun with
it. Yeah, exactly. Again, banger matches.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Complaining per se, but for Battle of the Belts, shockingly low number of belts have changed hands.
Just give us one, maybe. Like, just like give us a little expectation. Maybe it'll happen. You know, trick us.
Yeah, I do. The only spot that I really wanted to call out in this was the fact that JD Drake hits the Shining Wizard is something that's I really like. Like, he's a bigger dude, so to see him hit that move, I feel like is really impactful. He's great. I hope he's on my television more because when he came over, I thought we were going to get to see some really great stuff out of him, and I feel like he got kind of like relegated to dark in a way.
Yeah, totally. I hope that they give the WorkHorsemen a big push over here in the tag division because they're a great tag team to add and not just like another tag team to beat on TV. Like, they're contenders for these tag team championships. So let them boys go, especially JD. Let that boy go off. He wants to show y'all that big, tough, strong men are still out here.
Agreed. He's a throwback in a really, really fun way. So I am here for it. But we move along to our Pure Rules Pure Championship match between Shibata, which I think is far and away the biggest upset, maybe of all WrestleMania weekend, right?
Totally.
Versus Christopher Daniels. What a blast. To your point, I always say that, like, I feel with Pure Rules, it's almost fun to be at home for those more because the commentary team is so good.
Yeah.
And in person, it can be, these ones have been a little bit different, but there's been some I'm just like, this is a lot of rest holds. And it's usually like right after something like Commander and Vikingo, I feel like, or whatever.
Right.
So
Totally.
kind of like brings it down. But when you have commentary telling the story, it's a lot of fun. Caprice really calling out that it's so fitting that the wrestler has the Pure Championship. Like, what a delightful connection to draw there. Really, really fun match. Christopher Daniels, I don't know how he's still going at this age as strong as he is, but this was kind of one of those matches that didn't really reach like a super high gear. It was really even keeled and steady the whole time. I think that's going to be a little bit more challenging if they're going to continue taping the way that they are. A pure match is going to get really, really lost. I unfortunately feel like that happened for the crowd, but it didn't happen for me. I thought this was real, real fun. Shibata took control. He was kind of like the first one to have any sort of like dominant, like sequences in this match. But I loved Christopher Daniels, like Fallen Angel, just kind of like finding himself. Like the figure 4, I think was probably the key there. But Shibata winning here is not a surprise. Really loved the storytelling that went there. I really have liked this Christopher Daniels run a lot, more than I was anticipating, because I think he's just so valuable, and this was great. But again, still on the predictable side, though. Shibata, I mean, come on, it's Shibata. He's not dropping the title to Christopher Daniels.
I wouldn't
really,
think so.
really fun stuff, though.
Yeah, seeing Shibata again is surreal. Every time his music hits, it's always like, I always think like a rep from New Japan is going to run out and be like, absolutely not, you guys. We are not having another Shibata match. Stop playing his music. Stop walking him down to the ring. This is not happening. But every time it's real. He gets in the ring, they ring the bell, and they start wrestling. And this one was Christopher Daniels, such a vet that his matches are always fun. So to get to see him kind of like in a different element, just like, I mean, it's an element he's been in before because he's been in all elements as Christopher Daniels. To see him just grapple it up with Shibata and just lock it up with him like that. But Shibata is just like, I'm Shibata. Eventually I'm going to kick your head in and then I'm going to go home, sit down, crisscross applesauce in my living room, and everything's going to be great. And that's what this was. So yeah, seeing Shibata again, there was just a stat saying that he's had more matches here in AEW and Ring of Honor than he's had since returning to New Japan. So like, it's like whatever kind of crazy deal they have going on, thanks us, the wrestling fans, that we get to see it. And thank everybody. Shout out to Shibata to being able to still do this, because he wasn't able to do this for a long time. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty. It does feel like every time he gets in the ring, you're just like, oh my God. Like, I can't believe he actually is able to do this. Loved Christopher Daniels like yelling too in this. I just appreciate when people make it seem like submission holds actually hurt.
Yeah,
that was really nice. And again, Nigel McGuinness, just I'm probably the one that's most synonymous with that title.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
So much fun. Kind of shaking off Ian and Caprice for, they can't really call pure matches because they've never been wrestlers. They don't know what it's like. Just oh, he's just so damn good.
He had a bunch of those moments where he was like, they were having a good time and he was like, you guys are just silly, dude. Like, what are you doing here? And it felt like it's a good element to add, because once again, Ian and Caprice are great. One of the best commentary teams in wrestling, all of wrestling, but he's just such a great added element that's going to, continuing going forward, that you're just going to continue to have so much more fun.
Agreed. I'm so intrigued because he was also All Elite. So where does that lead to on
that could mean anything.
Could mean a whole lot of things when we're talking Nigel McGuinness. That is for sure. But we move along to Brian Cage versus Ortiz. You can read more about Brian Cage on FightfulSelect.com and his contract status or lack thereof. A little link in the notes to that. But But he's working tonight, or he was working Wednesday night, I should say. This was another one, Reg, where like in the opening match where we were like, wait, they're tag team title holders. Why are they in a trio? Now we have a trios champion and a solo match, but it was still a whole heck of a lot of fun. Love Ortiz being a counter for Brian Cage in this. Really, really, really fun. He seems like he's leaning face a little bit. I don't know if that has to do with how he's going to be presented overall, or if it's just because they're trying to build Brian Cage up to be a monster heel. But after the stuff with Eddie Kingston and the stuff here, I'm very intrigued. I like rooting for Ortiz, so I'll take it.
Yeah. It's a bunch of interesting things here. Of course, when Brian Cage, there's been a lot of talk around Brian Cage's contract, a lot of talk about him going or staying or whatever's happening. The result of the pay-per-view was very surprising to all of us up there. Sean Rossap and Will Washington were both sitting up there. I'm looking at them like, you know them. I'm like, what's the hell's going on here? Nobody knows what's going on here. I guess people have figured out. I don't know. Read the reports. Don't come to me for this. So to know that Brian Cage was know what was going on to Brian Cage, and then to see him here in a singles match. And then where are Khan and Toa? Like, what's going on here? Why aren't they out here too? What's going on with the embassy? What's going to happen here? Ortiz is here. Whatever happened to Santana? Are they ever going to talk about it? Nobody's going to ever know. Where's Eddie Kingston? How is he? Are they going to bring the story from AEW over here to this? They talked about it in commentary. It's possible. Nobody really knows. But again, Ortiz is a great wrestler, so we always want to see him, and having the outlet like this for the outcasted, no pun intended, the ladies of AEW, for the outcasted AEW wrestlers to kind of find a place that they can really come off and do their thing. This is going to be a great place for Ortiz. There's a lot of wrestlers that he can have some great matches with. Started right here, and so there's some stories to be told. I know a lot that's going to go on in the future with Brian Cage, the embassy. Not too much with Ortiz, but yeah, I'm excited about what's going to be happening going forward.
Agreed. I feel like this match, while I love both guys at it, Brian Cage has really, really won me over since he's come back. And I love Ortiz. This was probably like it was just a little bit sloppier. It didn't really feel like it kind of clicked in, but I'll take it. I'm not whining about it.
Yeah.
In an hour and 45 minutes of wrestling, I'm fine with this.
Yeah.
So we move along to Darius Martin versus Jay Lethal. Of course, we referenced that Dante's ankle was facing the wrong direction. You mentioned Santana. I was like, oh no, this is like, I felt like what Santana did to his knee. This looked like the ankle equivalent of. Hope Dante gets better as quickly as he can. This poor team has been snake bitten so many times. Poor Darius.
It's unfortunate. Yeah.
And now Dante. But you know what? They're damn good singles competitors when they need to be. So I will take it. This made sense because Jay Lethal's home is an ROH, right? I will absolutely take that. Jay Lethal comes out with the win here. Darius, like I feel like he's one of the best at picking up momentum in the game in a sense.
Yes.
Like so much fun. When he gets on a roll, you just immediately get that like babyface buy-in factor of just like, I'm behind you too, because you're behind you right now. Like it's really, really, really fun. I think this was I was gonna say, I was just looking at my notes. Maria and Taven on commentary.
They were definitely cutting up, all three of them over there.
My goodness. The commentary that we got on this episode alone, just fantastic.
And Matt and Mike kept trying to talk, but they weren't, like, the mic wasn't picking them up. And then at one point, they're just talking, but you can't hear anything. And Ian and them are like, yeah, great. And it's like, well, get them a mic if they're going to be talking back there. And eventually they got them a mic. Just super silly stuff going on here. And like, are they going to continue this thing with Darius without Dante? Like, I'm kind of confused as to why they're still gonna get this going on if Dante's gonna be out, but Darius is still there. I don't know. Their story's still being built. I guess that wasn't going to be the conclusion of the story at the ladder match, so there was still some things to be told. It's great to see Darius out here again. If there's any silver lining of this, they brought it up on commentary, like when Darius was out, Dante had his big revelation in AEW. He got those big wins. He got a lot of momentum. He had a lot of stuff going on. So we hope that Darius is going to have the same thing. And just like what you were saying about Darius is funny, because I think the reason that it feels like that with the momentum thing is because that's the video game generation, and all of their inspiration comes from the spirit meter. And when you build it up, and then it's your time to go on, and like, you know how those young people are, Kate. They're
the kids,
SmackDown versus Raw and stuff, and the Nintendo.
Oh, you video game kids.
You gamers.
Yeah. I am intrigued to see where this maybe Leo Rush comes back. Who knows? Who knows?
He's all over the place.
Yeah, maybe Darius finds a partner to stave off the kingdom a little bit longer. But loved Maria in commentary here. She's just so comfortable in her role. She adds so much.
And then Matt and Mike in Satnam's jacket to end the segment. That's pretty good. I liked it.
Delicious. Also the drop kick off of Satnam saying where he was just like so good. Reminded me of when Darby went flying at him and he was like,
that works every time. Every single time. It never fails.
Good stuff there. Guys, get in your super chats and your humper chats if there's anything you want to talk about just in general. I see, of course, the Athena chat is always leading the way for us on the super chats, which makes me so happy. We had a hell of a main event. But I will also remind you to subscribe to Fightful Select because, Reg, it was a newsworthy weekend, I think it's fair to say. There's unfortunate reports on backstage morale. There's contract news. There's WrestleMania clarification around Cody and Brock Lesnar. There's a ton of stuff on Fightful Select that Shawn is working way too hard to get you guys. That man has not slept in like a week. Please, what is sleep? Yeah. You said it's you just got caught up.
Yeah, I just caught up on sleep, and I don't have my phone going off a million times a day like he does. So I'm sure he hasn't gotten anything. And like even after WrestleMania, it seems like the news got even more and got bigger since then. So, pray for that.
I mean, you went from them announcing the sale to Cody losing to Vince ripping up the scripts and during the show changing the show. Poor Seth Rollins made
it was like a 24-hour space. Yeah.
Yeah, it was nuts. Last time this happened, it was 3 months of insanity. So let Shawn sleep. Everybody grow up, act normal. Yeah. Let my boss sleep because you're right. His phone is not only blowing up with news, but then he has to deal with me making like dumb jokes in his DMs or whatever. So
yeah, exactly. And trolls. Yeah,
it's a lot. He's got a lot on his plate. But lots more to come there on Fightful Select and a little bit more to come here on ROH too. We've got some fun things to talk about. I don't know if you can talk about Roosh without just being like, holy shit anymore. Roosh and Dralistico versus the Infantry, of course. Charlie Bravo and Shawn Dean there. This was a really, really, really fun match. And I loved how it started with Shawn Dean and Dralistico, just really fast-paced stuff. Roosh is just such a wrecking ball. He moves so fast. He hits so hard. This was really, really, really great. Dralistico ultimately getting the pin on Shawn Dean here for his team doing what MJF could never do. This was quick, but it was fun. And sometimes with Roosh, it's like I almost don't need to. And Dralistico too, but Roosh just has so much impact in all of his moves. This was short that sometimes I'm like, a little sprint is good, but where this makes me nervous is I don't want this to be like, oh, we're going to do these shorter matches because now we're taping after AEW again.
Yeah, I don't want it. That's kind of how I felt about a number of matches on this show. I'm like, are they rushing it because they want to get out of there? And if they're doing that, I don't want that.
Yeah. I'm also kind of curious about where Preston Vance is and all this.
Yeah, where's Preston Vance? He wasn't a part of this whole thing. Yeah, but Roosh is my favorite luchador in contrast to how, like, my favorite luchadors are Commander and Vikingo, and he's such the bad guy contrast to them. They're like flips and all this, and he's like, no, I'm gonna kick you in the face, punch you in the mouth, probably headbutt you. Like, that's how I get down. But he plays the perfect the perfect villain for so many people. Again, I'm ready to see him kind of in the singles division because he's such a force. His matches are so different than everybody else's and everything else. He's really fun.
Yeah, again, this is like the lack of clarity that I that I was looking for. Oh, Preston was ringside for this match. I guess I must have missed that, but he shouldn't be ringside because our tag champion should be having tag matches, and our trios champion should be having trios matches against a trio like LFI that includes Preston Vance. So darn it. Give me my clear lines that I've been asking for.
Not that hard.
Not that hard, but also not that bad because we got some really, really fun matches. Speaking of which, Hot Sauce versus Daniel Garcia.
This is when things kicked off.
This was a whole hell of a lot of fun. Very technical, really, really fun. This was like, if you like Vikingo and Commander, and then you also have this on the same show, I'm in. Give me all of it. I want all of it. I want like submissions. I want wrestling. This was so much fun. I was confused about the tables chant. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that Dan was playing up against it, and he went at one point to get under the ring to fake like he was going to get one. He got him, and they still did it again. I'm like, what is the fascination? Why are you guys keep chanting these? Get the tables thing. I'm not getting it, and I'm not understanding. This match was awesome. Daniel Garcia is great. Now, look, I love Shibata, and that was a great feel-good moment. But, like, if we're going to have pure champion title matches every week, we need, like, this type of shit right here would happen. Like, Smash Mouth. It's very technical. But in the end, it's two guys nose to nose punching each other repeatedly, trying to knock each other out, trying to rip their legs off, trying to rip arms off, and dancing a little bit of salsa right in the middle of it. It depends on who the wrestler is. I'm not talking about anybody specific. This is that great pure wrestling shit without the pure wrestling title, thing over it, but it's still exactly what that division represents. Daniel Garcia is just the funnest wrestler you could ever see all the time. Like, either he's clowning or he's kicking you in the mouth or he's trying to submit you. Hot Sauce is, I like all these positions that they put him in. They've had him with Rhett Titus. They've had him over here in the pure division. He plays well in any role. I think he could get some wins eventually. Put him against some guys that maybe he could beat if that's what we're going to do.
Also was kind of fun because we saw so many submission spots in this. I actually, Doc Mueller is in the chat. Hi, Doc.
Hey, what's up, Doc?
I went back because I was like, wait, didn't he win by pinfall? I was looking, I was like, did I miss something? Let me double check somebody else's results to make sure I got it right. And he said actually the same thing in the article, that he was like, well, it was kind of fun to have a submission specialist and so many submission spots, and he wins by pinfall here. Made me feel like my favorite thing about Daniel Garcia is that he's always trying to get a win. So it wasn't like he had to get a win with submission. He saw an opportunity and he took it. So
yeah, if he could get a 3, then yeah. But if he also can rip your arm off and get the win submission, he's gonna take it. But it's whatever is right here, right now that I can latch on to, and that's what he did.
100%. That's just this isn't a super chat, but this popped me tremendously. Vance, that new Vince McMahon looking guy with the pencil mustache. Ay.
Not Vince, but Vance is very funny.
But I like McMahon being like, I would have wished that upon Preston Vance, but I like that alternate dimension. Vince is Vance. Ronald Hulk asking, do you think that they return to studio tapings for ROH post next week, as they feel they could tape next week's episode of ROH prior to Rampage on Friday? I don't know, Jeff Jarrett. Why don't you tell us what's going on, Mr. Live Events?
No, but I asked him about the taping schedule in the media scrum, and he said that this is going to continue for the next couple of weeks attached to Rampage or Dynamite or Rampage taping. So sorry, guys, it's more of this. I think they could make it work. If, like you said, if it's attached to the Rampage tapings, because the Rampage is only an hour taping, and it will, if they like say it out loud, like, hey, this is going to be a combo pack, Rampage, Ring of Honor, kind of establish the rules, not like you come to the Dynamite, and then before the show, Tony's like, stick around after. We're going to have 10 Ring of Honor matches. And like, people don't want
No.
that just doesn't work for anybody.
I've been here for 8 hours. Did
Yeah,
you even put on a pure
exactly.
match? Great. I'm so pumped. I would, but I'm in the minority on that.
Yeah, no, me, I'd be like, let's go,
matches.
baby.
Yeah.
But like, most
Like,
people are like, I was going to have a heart out after Dynamite was over. Maybe 1 or 2 dark matches. But I'm not about to stick around for 10 Ring of Honor matches. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's a lot. And to your point, it's also a lot of wrestling matches. So
yeah,
makes sense.
After the 2 hours of Dynamite, you got to forget after.
Yes. Yes. Is there a bigger darling in wrestling than Willow Nightingale, Reg?
No.
I don't know if there's anybody who people are just more in love with, and they shouldn't
Yeah.
be. But I do got to shout out Notorious Mimi too. She was in the Monster Factory documentary docuseries as Ian Riccaboni pointed out on commentary. She's a great talent. She had done a lot of work on AEW Dark before getting signed to NXT, which unfortunately didn't work out, but I don't think she's going to be unsigned for long. She's a hell of a talent. She's super young too. She's got a very, very, very bright future ahead of her. Not a ton of showing off here. This was mostly to let Caprice say pounce really loud. This was this was that moment, and I am here for that. But pounce into the power bomb. This was kind of just like a squash on steroids, as it were.
Yeah.
But happy to see Notorious Mimi getting some reps out there, and always, always, always happy to see Willow Nightingale.
Interesting. I like seeing Willow on the show getting the squash, but like, what happened to Trish? I thought Trish was doing the thing.
What happened to 2 real women's matches a show?
What happened here? Come on, we were having a good time over here. Every hour of Ring of Honor. 1 hour is a great match. The second hour is a great match. Look, don't try to ride the wave of Athena all the way over. Athena is the MVP. Athena is great. Athena is going to have a killer match every show. But we like having 2. That's it. That's all.
Yeah, and to your point, like, we want to see Trish Adora in that slot too, right? Like, we want to see the ROH women, not the AEW Outcast versus Homegrowns feud pieces. So give me my ROH. Don't you go and make it AEW Light, or I'm gonna be mad.
Exactly. We don't want that. We don't have time for that.
That's right. The Even Stevens. That's just fun. Versus the Righteous. I got all of my righteousness back today. I got Righteous Reg coming back to me. I've got the Righteous coming back. They showed up, of course, at the pay-per-view. They had been seen backstage at WWE. They had been working Impact. We didn't really know where the Righteous were going to land, but really, really like this presentation of them too. It's not too different than what they were doing before it shut down, but just feels like a little bit crisper and a little more I don't know, a little less like dirty rednecky and a little more like,
a little more culty.
A little more culty is probably a good way to put it. I really like them. And Reg, I know you're a huge fan of spooky gimmicks. So what I appreciate about the Righteous is this feels almost like I like the people who you feel weirded out by that you've actually met before or feel accessible more than I like kind of the supernatural stuff. That's just me. That's just a mea culpa as a wrestling fan. And the Righteous are really, really good at that. It feels almost more in line with, if you remember, like early Bray Wyatt, Husky Harris, like when people are drawing those comparisons, that feels a little more based to me. But I like a creepy guy that you're like, something's going on with that dude. But it feels like someone that could really exist in this world. This was really, really fun. Happy for Vincent and Dutch too. Just glad that they I'm assuming found a home here after getting a lot of looks from a lot of places and working X, Y, and Z. They belong in ROH, darn it. I'm very happy to see that. And Even Stevens, I mean, that's just like the most fun tag team name ever. But this did what it needed to do. But again, like, I want matches, Reg.
Surprise, surprise. I hated it. There was parts of this that kind of dragged this part. And was the Claudio promo next, or The Claudio promo, oh, I hated it. I didn't like it at all. Oh, God, I hated it so much. It was so bad. They should have not shown that. I didn't like any parts of it. This part in that Claudio promo, I was like, okay, we're slowly walking the dog here. We're still establishing what's going on here. We're playing the slow game with Ring of Honor. Not particularly the best for me, but I know everything has a purpose and everything's going to lead to something. So I'm going to let it play out, as they say, those people.
Fair enough. But I also really need everything to have a purpose.
That's it.
Because it felt like it did before, and it felt a little
That's
less like
the
it did
all.
today.
Like, don't walk us into this and make us believe that everything's going to be for something, because you've shown us this. We're just like going off what you've shown us at this point.
Exactly. Like, if you set an expectation, you can't kind of like walk back on that too hard. You know what I mean?
I hope not.
So,
I mean, he could do whatever he wants.
It is true. He can do whatever. I was honestly stalling because I was going to try to bring up the video of you that Shawn played, but I can't find it. It's not in my folder.
Gotta have it on deck, Kate.
I know. Shame on me, but I don't know where.
But yeah, where did this Claudio promo come up? Because I hated it so.
I think this was next. I don't have it in my notes.
It was just so like, I see what he's doing. I know what's going on here, but like, if they can't do they did like the UFC question of like, who's next? Give him a purpose, give him a reason to say something if you're gonna do that. Like, if you're gonna say, well, who's next, be like, well, say this person so it leads to something, because it looks like he was like trying to go through the Rolodex of his brain and he couldn't figure out anybody to say. Like, don't just throw him out there without a purpose, because it did not work. I hated the promo so much.
Me too. I was kind of just
dog, what the fuck is this shit? Yeah, totally. That's how I felt about it. Claudio. I'm like, dude, give it the belt to Eddie Kingston if this is what the fuck we were going to be doing after this.
This is actually my favorite version of Claudio, and I think it's been a lot of his best mic work, but it was not tonight.
Not tonight.
Like woefully underprepared. Like, it just felt disjointed and like it didn't really belong on the show. So wasn't a fan of it. Don't ask someone a question if you don't have like a kayfabe answer to it. Like,
exactly.
Like, it was just like, he was kind of like, I don't know. Good
they were like, hey, do you want to do a promo, Claudio? And he was like, yeah. And they were like, he was like, what do you want me to talk about? They were like, I don't know. And then nobody knew what to talk about.
They were like, we haven't gotten that far yet. Who's my next opponent? Well, I don't know.
Why don't you tell us?
Yeah. He was like, it's fake, right? Like, I'm not supposed to have to answer that. Well, let me tell you what did kick this into high gear. Holy hell. Tony Nese and Takeshita had a good one, Reg.
Who's surprised? Takeshita's here. Big surprise. He killed it again.
He really, really did. And Tony Nese, this is fun. He's a Long Island boy, I believe. So really fun that he got to perform in front of his home crowd, and also appreciated in his intro the way that they buried it as well. Like, they just were they were like, but now he resides in Florida because he got away from this trash place. So much fun. Yeah. But this match was fantastic. What were your any favorite moments, any favorite spots here?
Tony Nese were on point. I think Takeshita's we talk a lot about Takeshita's offense, but his defense, when he's locked into making this other guy look like a gazillion bucks, it's like, damn, this guy's one of the best horses in the world. Tony Nese, we talked about a little bit on this show before. He is a very underrated wrestler. I love when he gets the opportunity to shine against opponents like Takeshita. Takeshita is just like so good at everything. He looks great. He has a great presence, and you can see like him getting more comfortable being on TV, getting more comfortable being one of those just like badass wrestlers, and it shows every time. Ring of Honor, he brings like a different spirit of that he usually does than he usually does in other places. I don't know why, but we're blessed to be able to see such great Takeshita matches all the time. So shout out to him and Tony Nese for destroying it.
Yeah, Takeshita winning with the German suplex here. Maybe the best suplex in wrestling right now.
Stalling, yep.
him or Chad Gable, it's pretty close. Really, really fun though. To your point, Tony Nese, we talked about before, underrated. But my only thing here was I liked Woods being there, but the interference on the skinning the cat, while a clever one, like that's actually a really clever way to interfere. I was like, don't do this.
Yeah,
let my ROH be my ROH because we like it. I don't want it convoluted and clumsy. I want my clean wrestling matches. That's all I want in this world, Reg.
Right down the middle. Right down the middle. It's easy.
That's it. Sometimes heels are just better wrestlers than faces, and that continues stories. But RH saying, I haven't had a chance to watch ROH yet. Well, thanks for watching this.
Thank you.
But wanted to support you two fine folks doing a great review. Thank you so much. And yes, Athena is the ROH MVP. Holy hell is she? We're going to get into that in a moment.
Yep.
Orion Ben 666 saying this match is why when folks bury Nese, I scoff. He's great.
Seriously.
And I think ROH should be the home for him. Like the way he works, that just feels like a really, really endemic fit in a way.
This show missed Samoa Joe. Now that I think about it, I'm like, what was wrong here?
No Samoa Joe.
Yeah, no Samoa Joe.
This was chaotic. There was too many mismatched things happening, too many shortened matches because of the taping.
Yeah.
Get it back on track.
Fix it, dude.
But I still really liked it.
But also, yeah, it was really fun though. A lot of fun match, especially the main event.
Which, thank you for the segue, Reg. Perfect. Holy hell.
Yeah.
Athena and Yamashita tearing it down. Bobby Cruz said it. Yamashita. They said Yamashita on
right after
commentary.
Immediately afterwards to establish it.
Just Nigel McGuinness immediately calling it out too. Just delicious. So much fun. Tim Gordon saying Athena and Miya delivered. Excellent match without the constraints of TV to worry about. And Chris Mueller saying Miya and Athena, my God, that was fun. They beat the crap out of each other, Reg.
Miyu dominated a lot of it, which I thought was very surprising, but also a really good move because we've seen Athena in a dominating role for a lot of her ROH championship run. And so to see her be on the ropes for a lot of this match, I was like, damn, Miyu's really putting the hurting on Athena. The kicks were on point. Oh my God, just destroying Athena at so many points. But Athena is just, I saw you tweeting how she's just mean to everybody in the world. She's just so mean, dude. You just can't stop. You just can't stop the trajectory that she's on. I told her in the scrum that she's the MVP of Ring of Honor. All these shows, every match that she has is amazing. This one right here was hard hitting. At one point, they had about a 35, 37, maybe 45 count on the outside. The referee just gave up at one point. It was like, y'all just fight out there. Go for it. I'm tired of counting. They're outside brawling, throwing each other off of the ramp. Miyu hit Athena with the DVD on the ramp, just destroying each other. You can hear all the punches and the kicks and the slams and the strikes. Just a real strong style, what you expect from these two women going at it. A real tough ass fight. I love the finish of Athena has her locked in the crossface, but Miyu's like, I'm strong. I'm not gonna give up. I came way too far over here to be giving up on this little crossface. But Athena's like, no, like you're about to go to sleep. Referee, you better help her. She's gonna go to sleep. She went to sleep. So just it
was brilliant. This is one of Charlotte Flair's greatest strengths, I feel like, is when she's in a submission hold because she's so aware of her body. We were talking about it not that long ago. Alex Pulaski and I, like, nobody has made the bank statement look better. Like this, it felt like Miyu was doing the same thing where it was like she was so aware of how to use her body to make Athena look so vicious because she was folded in half backwards. Like she was really, really this was just a
it's
beautiful
like her spine, her neck, her back, like all
I was like,
RIP
her vertebrae. They're just they're gone. They're gone.
Seriously.
But a really, really fun way to go home. And I also, to your point, loved commentary calling out that the referee was just letting it go because this was a title match too. So he was like, I'm not gonna let a title match get counted out
Not
this
a count
way.
out. No.
I wish AEW would do things like this of
Yeah.
like, hey, if a referee is lenient on something, let's acknowledge why and make it make sense instead of just like, Aubrey can't see anything that's behind her ever.
Right.
And Rick Knox doesn't have eyes.
Or
Like,
JR being like, that referee is dumb.
Yeah. JR is like, what an idiot.
Yeah, like, we don't need that.
He's right behind you, dum dum. It's wrestling, JR. You gotta play in.
JR, we know. We learned from you, dude. Help us out here.
Yeah, help us help you. But this, I would say, I don't want to be like a negative Nancy and be like, this was my least favorite episode. Because I still really enjoyed it. It was not, it was far from an unwatchable episode.
No.
It's just been the bar has been so high for a really long time. And they were forced to work out 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks of television. Beforehand, that they didn't have a choice to portray the story.
Right. He's like, I got to do these 5 shows. I can't do anything else. Now it's like, I could just like write this shit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It was great, but you know what I mean.
What are you thinking for, especially because you were at Supercard and those stories seem to have wound up since Claudio couldn't tell us. What are your thoughts of like where some of these stories? I love Claudio. This was not his best work.
No.
Who do you think is maybe next for our champions?
I'm trying to think, like, did they tell any single male stories throughout this entire show? Did anybody Brian Cage had a win? Like, they didn't
as a singles competitor.
Yeah, I'm like, they didn't establish anybody even in the direction of Claudio this show, which is like, what's going on here? I don't know. There's some options. He's playing a tweener role. He's not playing a straight up heel. He's not playing a straight up face. So honestly, I have zero idea. Like, this show didn't help out at all. I'm like, there's not even anybody that's like kind of right there.
Do you think they run it back with Eddie?
Why? If you're gonna do it again and Eddie wins, why didn't you just give him the win here? I don't really.
Yeah,
it's like the Cody Rhodes thing. It's like, yeah, Cody Rhodes is gonna win eventually, but why didn't he just win here? Like, I don't understand why you're gonna drag this along. That could be where they're going, but where was Eddie? Did they even talk to like?
Eddie wasn't around for this. I don't know how he's gonna, he quit AEW. I don't know how he's gonna be to ROH tapings if they're on the back of this.
You know who did get a victory? We just talked about it. Takeshita. They've been telling that story with Don Callis. Takeshita and Claudio. Maybe
we saw them have an incredible match at Battle of the Bells. That could be fun. I do feel like if you're putting Takeshita there, I want him to win. I also thought that maybe that's the place where Mark Briscoe ends up going. Like maybe that could be, maybe the TV title wasn't his destiny. Maybe he is your world title holder. I love the idea of it being Takeshita, though. I think that could be just like gangbusters. I think it could be really, really,
both
really
of those fit pretty well. And whatever you said, whoever is talking about Samoa Joe and Eddie Kingston, if that's where we can go next with Eddie Kingston, we're all in. We want it.
But like, he has to dethrone Samoa Joe.
That's it. If Samoa Joe beats Eddie Kingston and he taps out in the middle or chokes him out in the middle of the ring, dead Eddie Kingston in the middle of the ring, don't do this to us. We can't take it anymore. All right,
what did Eddie do backstage?
What did he do? I saw AEW All Access. Him and Sammy Guevara are friends now. They shook hands.
Yeah.
Everything is fine. Okay.
And that extremely real reality show.
That was so real. Everything that happens on there, nothing scripted. They don't put anything together on a whiteboard in the back.
Definitely not. Definitely not. As all reality shows are.
Yes.
Same with Total Bellas. Bryan Danielson has definitely not talked about having to switch outfits to make it appear as if it was a different day on the show.
Never. It's crazy.
Oh man. Well, yeah, this was probably like my least favorite because I'm not gonna say worse because it wasn't bad by any means.
It just didn't really give us too much. The main event was incredible, worth the price of admission, but like it didn't further too much for us here.
Yeah, it didn't do a ton, and I am kind of concerned about the new environment that they have there. But we've got some more love and support coming in from you guys before Joel pops in here. It sounds like Josh Alexander is vacating the championship tonight, which
Oh yes,
sucks.
I forgot. Damn, that sucks.
We got an anonymous $50 Humper chat. Thank you so much.
Anonymous.
Ortiz, Eddie Kingston, Ring of Honor, New Yorkin? NUYORICKN? I don't know what that is. Oh, like New Yorker and Puerto Rican.
Oh yeah.
Took my eyes. It's been a very long week, guys. I've done like 100 streams the past 4 days. Well, I would love for it to be, there's a couple of things with this. I would love for LAX to reunite, but it feels empty without Santana. I also would love for Diamante to be a part of it. I don't know why that woman works dark and has no contract for like 4 years. It's weird to me. I think she would actually be, if you gave me Diamante the way she lays her shit in, and Athena, oh man, we're cooking.
There's a lot of opponents for Athena that are just kind of sitting along that they can function and bring into the Ring of Honor setting. So I think her story is probably the best that's going to be told from here on out, better than all the champions. That's why she's the MVP of Ring of Honor. So
it's true. This has been an all-timer. This has been one of those situations where the belt is making the woman and the woman is making the belt at the same time, which is just lightning in a bottle when that happens. It's super rare, I feel like. Louisville saying flowers for Athena, a top tier champ. That's what we're talking about.
Yep. She's amazing. And her wish list of next opponents and what she wants to do next is just like, she's about to be cooking up. There was I don't know if you saw the footage. It was fan footage of Trinity ringside at Supercard of Honor, kind of giving up a lip playing. It felt like character work to me, which got me very excited. Like, if we're gonna get Trinity eventually in here, Trinity versus Athena, like, yes, please hurry fast. That's gonna be amazing for Trinity. If that's gonna be like her first thing out the gate, out of WWE, perfect way to do it.
I would love to see that match. Because especially this version of Athena too, it's not like she's incapable of doing like a lot of the more acrobatic stuff that she used to do, which plays into Naomi's world a little bit more. It's just that right now she's leaning into beating everybody's asses. And
she doesn't have to, because she's just gonna knock you out.
I feel like the combination of that could be something that's really, really like just makes Athena dangerous on a whole different level. But I would love to see it. Let's get Trinity in an ROH ring. What a wild turn of events that would be. And also just fun too, from the perspective of like Mercedes is like, I'm just gonna go around and make history with every appearance I do. It's no big deal. And then for Trinity to be like, I'm gonna leave WWE. I was one of the most underrated women there for the better part of a decade. My title run was treated like crap. I'm a huge star, but I'm gonna go to like the wrestler's wrestling brand after the way she got brought through. That would be really fun.
Perfect.
I'll take it. Shock Kid saying ROH, my peppy Sylvia take. All In was announced. We're gonna wreck spec real quick. All In was announced, but no pay-per-view. Cole dropped celebrating 100 years of Warner Brothers line. Warner Brothers has a streaming event next week. Streaming deal is announced for AEW ROH, with the first show on HBO Max being All In.
That's a bunch of words and a bunch of speculation and a bunch of things.
I just said we're going to recklessly speculate, Reg.
Okay, all right.
And I'm going to report it as fact.
I've seen a bunch of people saying this Warner Brothers deal. If they do make the deal, Ring of Honor is going to be where it's going to be. Ring of Honor is not going to get a TV deal. Ring of Honor is not going to move to HBO Max. Ring of Honor is going to be an Honor Club. So let's just start there. As far as AEW, I don't know. Probably.
Here's my thing. $9.99 a month for your B show with no pay-per-view breaks. I'll pay it because I'm obsessed with this brand. But if you're trying to get people to buy in, is kind of a higher threshold. If it's not going to be those two things get merged, I would really like them to build out other content with like get some New Japan content on there, get some indies on there, do some cool stuff to make that library more robust. Because I always thought like, well, if they're gonna do Honor Club and then put a bunch of AEW content behind it or something. That's a no-brainer for people to pay that. But right now it feels like, unless you had Honor Club before, I don't know if people are going to buy into it.
No, it's a hard sell when when IWTV and Fight TV, you could get multiple. You're not just getting one wrestling company. It's not just one, not even the full, library of Ring of Honor. You could get 5 or 10 different wrestling promotions, and I'm going to pick that over Ring of Honor if I'm an outsider that isn't trying to indulge in craziness like I am. But for me, keep up the $10. Ring of Honor is great for me. Keep up these shows. Go back to I like studio wrestling if we're doing this, because I don't like this 10-hour wrestling show crowd as much.
No, it puts a cap on what you had.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the beauty of what we had was that there was no cap on it, really. So
we don't like caps.
No cap. no cap. No mad cap. I don't want any of it.
No mad cap, no Capricorn, no cap. No cappuccino. We don't want no caps around here. I want my soda without the cap on it.
There it is. See? Mm-hmm. Yep. No baseball caps even? No, baseball caps.
Nothing. No, we'll take a baseball cap.
Yeah, they're pretty all right. Chuck also saying, I could see it being Claudio ducking Eddie for a while and forcing Eddie to jump through hoops. Maybe even bringing Chris Hero to play on that thread. Why is Claudio ducking Eddie if he beat him? Is my thing.
You don't have to he beat him already. What is he gonna duck him for?
And it seems like maybe we were setting up some sort of angle, maybe for Forbidden Door, after.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm intrigued to see where it goes from that perspective. But I'm like, nah, Eddie should have won.
Yeah, that's it. I don't.
RH pointing out that Diamante is still owed a title shot from Athena. All right, her and Ridge Fear. According to Louise, our wonderful moderator, who worked, by the way, his ass off this weekend for like 800 shows. So show him some love in the chat for sure. Mm-hmm. Diamante versus Athena just feels like a stylistic matchup made in heaven to me.
I like it. Run it.
Well, I like it. This was not our favorite episode of ROH, but it was still a good one. And I'm so glad to have Reg back here. Missed you last week.
Yes, happy to be back. Talking about Ring of Honor every Thursday. Thursday didn't feel the same last week not talking about it.
I mean, oh yeah, I'm sure. While you were schmoozing and hanging out with your Graps boys and Shawn and Denise and going to Wally Mania. You're just empty heart over there. But I'll tell you who I never miss, and that's Joel Pearl. Hi, Joel.
What's up, Joel?
How y'all doing?
Yes, they stripped Josh Alexander. We're all sad.
Man, you know what though? That segment that they ran was really good. They did a really good job of not only making it really emotional, having Josh drop the title, but also having that Macklin Kushida match coming up at Rebellion. Yeah. I was about it going into it, but they did a good job of making me get reinvested in that title match on next Sunday.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that because I felt the same way that you did when they announced it. They're going Steve Macklin. This is where this is leading to, right?
Got you.
Yeah. Okay. I still need to be convinced.
I get it. No, I do. When it was Macklin and Alexander, it was like, yes, the writing's on the wall. It looks good. He's the right guy. Now it's Kushida, so they're trying to kind of revamp the story that it's like I tapped out a few weeks ago to the hoverboard lock, but now I didn't need to because this is a title match, and now I'm stronger than that. It's like the mental game that Macklin plays. So
gotcha.
It's an interesting story, but it's kind of a strange one because they're kind of redoing the story on the fly because you got a big championship match that got scrapped due to injury.
Yeah.
Damn it. I hate seeing that reign end like that.
Right?
Yeah.
It's especially that title reign because it was the reign in Impact, and it was probably their strongest. And then Mickey also is still they don't know what they're doing. They're going to announce next week. We're going to talk about it on the show when we do the actual Impact review, but they're going to give an update on Mickie James next week and whether or not she's going to perform at Rebellion. So there you go. Yeah, by the way, someone in the chat mentioning Josh's kid in that segment was really good. The kid just there was a moment that's just, it tugs on your heartstrings. Go watch it. It's on Impact's YouTube. It's on there. It's everywhere.
When moments like that happen, it's such a bummer that it would happen that way. But
absolutely.
It just makes me be like,
oh yeah.
Oh, you were looking for that. It's like, why are you throwing this up?
Come on.
Why are you throwing this shit up?
Dog, what the fuck is this shit?
I knew it was coming.
There it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I kind of came in at the tail end. Y'all were saying it wasn't the best episode of ROH this week, but like, what stood out? What's something I got to watch?
The main event was crazy. Athena and Miya went for it. Athena is the MVP of every Ring of Honor show. If she's on the show, she's going to be the best match of the show. But yeah, our main complaint is kind of like they did the taping after Dynamite. So you know how crowds are being at a show for so long. If you're prepared to go to Dynamite and then Tony Khan comes out and says, well, stay afterwards to watch Ring of Honor, most of those people aren't really super invested in that. So it's hard to get them.
That makes sense. Yeah, I watched a couple of review shows where people were talking about being there, and they were like, "No, we didn't stick around for Ring of Honor because we just didn't feel it." So I get it, and that does suck. It's easier when you're actually going to a taping and you know what you're getting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's good that I'm glad that main event match went because I'm gonna go watch that for sure.
Yeah, Yamashita and Athena. Also, just like shout out to women main eventing already in ROH. Like,
yep,
it shouldn't have to be something that like. Fight for like years. I'm sure Reg feels the same way.
Forever to try to get a main event. Yeah,
they're talking about like getting some notoriety, but but Joel,
Kate,
it's Impact time, baby.
Mm-hmm. It is. You'll see that there's one less person on the screen. Cress is off this week. She's spending time for someone's birthday, so. She told me a week ago, and I was like, "Is that still happening?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh shit!" So I'm going solo. Back to my old days. I don't know if people know this, but my first review on Fightful was the Impact Homecoming show in 2021. So that was a solo show. We're gonna try see if I can do it again.
Sweet.
Joel, I'm getting word from Shawn that you're not allowed to do that.
It's just like 2021 all over again. I did the banners and everything. I made myself look good. What is this shit? What am I doing?
It's against the law for you to be on screen alone is what I'm hearing. It's a felony. Yeah, you're gonna go to jail if you do it. So you need to have a co-host. I don't know what to tell you.
All right. I guess we'll find one, but well, maybe someone will come in the middle of the show and or at the beginning or whatever. We'll figure it out.
And help you out.
Yeah, exactly. Y'all can trust that I'll do that, right?
I believe it.
There. Perfect.
No, I don't trust that you'll do that.
Well, too bad, Kate. You're just gonna have to do it.
All right, we're out of here. But have a great show. A heartbreaking moment with Josh Alexander, of course, but looking forward to Steve Macklin and Kushida and hearing what you have to say about it.
There we go. Yep. Thanks, y'all.
Peace.
Cheers. All right. Okay, get out of here. There we go. So, now my border's all messed up. Let's fix that. Okay. Hello, friends. We're back again. It's Fightful.com, and it is April 6th, 2023. It's time for your Impact Wrestling post show. I am at Joel Pearl, and I am solo tonight because Crest the Star is on assignment. She's not here, and that's okay. But it's going to be me and you and us talking about wrestling, talking about a good episode of Impact that even I didn't expect to be as fun, as heart-warming and tear-jerking, heartstrings pulled as it was. I didn't expect to see Josh Alexander's title relinquishing ceremony be the main event and be a really good one, setting up the main event for Rebellion, which is, by the way, a week from Sunday, which even I was shocked and confused because I'm going to that show, but if it's in 10 days, I should probably figure out my ticket situation. Anyway, not important. You can leave us a super chat here, youtube.com/Fightful. Any amount, get your question or statement read on the air. And of course, if you want to send a humper chat, you can go over to humperchats.com. Again, it gives you a chance to support us, get a little more money out of the pie because YouTube takes a lot more. So we got a big show. And it's such a big show that I've been told I have to find somebody. And sorry, what are you still doing here?
Joel, I know I didn't watch Impact, okay? I know that.
That's par for the course.
But I saw the graphic go up where it was like Joel and then it was just like a mystery tag team partner, which is vacant.
Yeah.
And I was like, I am going to answer the call here. I'm going to I'm going to talk some Impact with you, even though I didn't see it, because look, Creston needs a break from you. All right, I think that's obvious, and I have community service hours I need to log, so I'm just going to stick around.
Jesus, community service hours?
Yeah, doing work with you is community service.
I get it. We host a show every Sunday over in Fightful Overbooked.
We sure do, Joel.
Yeah. All right. So you know what? Fine. Kate, I guess.
Hey! I'm going to Brock Lesnar the shit out of this. All right. I'm going to turn on you halfway through.
All right. Ryan Sullivan starts us off with a super chat. All by himself. No one wants Joel to be all by himself. Well, I'm not.
Sing it. Sing it from the bottom of your heart.
No, I'm not, because I got kids sleeping in the next room. All right. So you don't watch a lot of Impact, but at least we can kind of piecemeal together your Impact fandom, right, Kate?
We can, and I keep up with the product sometimes through this very show. And I'm aware of like what they were building out with Steve Macklin and some of the other things going on over there. Really just like unfortunate timing how Josh Alexander and Mickey's injuries lined up like that. That's such a bummer. So I'm up on the product, but I will be in awe of your knowledge of it at points where I don't know what's going on. I'll just default to you.
Fair enough. Well, I know you're not watching BTI because honestly, I can barely get Cresta to watch BTI. So let's just open up. We open up with our pal George Iceman, who's always got the scoops for us, and he's standing in Windsor in the middle of whatever university gym they're at. They're at St. Clair College for these tapings. So I don't know if you've seen BTI and this George Iceman character. He speaks like that. He speaks like a 50s radio host. It's very strange. Anyway, he's either in a green screen black room with like his camera reflecting off of his glasses, or he's in a vineyard somewhere south, or he's for some reason at the venue that they're taping in and like in like the worst possible spot to give scoops, no less, Kate.
My goodness. What a hero at any of those three locations.
It's absurd. Anyway, so he says, Josh Alexander relinquishes his world title tonight on the show, and Macklin and Kushida will be present during the ceremony. Will they behave or will all hell break loose? Well, I'm pretty sure we know how that's going to go, so we'll talk about that in a minute.
I don't want to be negative about a show I don't watch.
Oh, that
feels like a poor man's QTV right there.
He's not great at his job, Kate. Like his scoops to reporting ratio is like 0. Oh my God, Soko just reminded me that yes, I might meet Iceman in 2 weeks, and I want to know if he watches the show.
I want to know if he's made a device.
I'd like to know that too.
Yeah. Get to the bottom of that. You are a good scoopster and a great interviewer.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Unfortunately, Impact's not giving me anyone to interview at Rebellion, so I guess I'm just going to have to go in and swoop and find other. Instead, I just interviewed all of their talent at a GCW show. That was the real way to do it. There was a match on BTI, as there is every week. Champagne Singh and Mahabali Shera took on Heath and Rhino. Now, Kate, I don't know if you're familiar with Raj Singh, but he's been around for a long time. You are. Good. Awesome.
Yeah.
He recently rebranded as Champagne Singh because at the Vegas tapings, he struck it rich, as one does when someone goes to Vegas.
I think we've seen a little Vegas luck gimmick before, but this sounds different. This sounds different, which I like. He's great. I really enjoy his work, and that's fun that he's leading into a little bit of a different character there. Heath Slater, I feel like he's pretty underrated. Like, I feel like anytime I watch him, to be honest, like there's something he does in pretty much any match that he's in that I'm like, that was either really creative or at least really, really well done. But him and Rhino have like, it's been a long time. Like I feel like there's not a lot of angles or teams that necessarily last super long times at Impact because it does tend to be a little bit more of a revolving door promotion, but they've been linked at the hip for, 4 or 5 years now, at least.
Since at least 2016 on SmackDown Live.
My goodness.
Right?
That's deep lore.
Yes. Back when Rhino used to go eat Cheez-Its off of crackers at a double wide in Heath's hometown when he's trying to get him a contract. That's how far back they go.
My God.
I love this because also, you know how Fightful Select ran a report this week about Drew Gulak helping Stone Cold Steve Austin get ready for his match?
Drew Gulak mentioned helping Stone Cold get ready for his match. Something you can read about on FightfulSelect.com.
Yeah, for $5. We'll talk about Select later. But you know how that was a thing that came out. So Heath was that guy before Drew Gulak, and for a little while there was a crossover. Heath was that guy. He was the good hand. That's not the good hands that currently team with Bully Ray. He was the guy that you could count on to literally do anything with any talent, and you could trust them. And Heath is good. He's great. He's solid. Had a big injury that took him out for the first time in a long time, but now that he's back and he's doing this stuff with Rhino, it works. They've been tag champs. They're good. They're happy. Champagne Singh and Shira do lose the match, of course. There's a gore from Rhino on Shira, gets the win for Rhino and Heath. I do want to shout out the referee. This is actually really cool. His name's Cameron Adamson. He is a congenital amputee who was born without legs, and he's been at the Border City Wrestling Academy since 2017, and he was the referee in this match. So definitely a little bit of a highlight for someone. Yeah, like it was just totally unexpected. And commentary shouted him out too, but I wanted to bring that to everyone's attention because, you know, it's good to see a lot of diversity in your product, especially in wrestling. So good stuff. And a really solid match.
I know this isn't a super chat, but my God. Kate stole the scene, Gorilla, and running things tonight. Listen, if you start singing your theme, Joel, I'm going to come down and I'm going to derail your entire segment. That's what's going down tonight.
Down to the... Anyway. All right, Impact opens up with the tag match between Motor City Machine Guns and TMDK. Shane Haste and Bad Dude Tito. You're familiar with Bad Dude Tito recently, aren't you? He was a part of some AEW tapings, some dark tapings.
Yeah, I hadn't really heard of him before that, though. Like, I was not familiar with any of his work outside of like the little that I saw in this kind of more recent run. I
know you know Shane Haste, though.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, put a mask on, and you can't miss that face.
I mean, we in ROH world, we had Ben Deho, so working tapings as somebody else. So, but yeah, this is a whole bunch of fun. Tell me about the match, Joel.
So it's a really fun match because over at Multiverse United, the Ace of Base, who are the Impact World Tag Team Champions, actually beats TMDK, Motor City Machine Guns, and Aussie Open. So this match, the tag match between Motor City Machine Guns and TMDK, kind of had a little bit of championship stakes moving into Rebellion. It was a good match. I mean, Haste throwing Chris Sabin into Bad Dude Tito, who does a standing Mega Blue Thunder Bomb, is so good. Like, just spins him around real good and just throws Sabin to the mat. And of course, you know, you've got Shelley doing all of his crazy shit and Sabin too. And eventually the match ends with a crucifix. Shelley does it on Haste, and then Sabin runs in, flips, does a jackknife pin, sunset jackknife pin, because you got to flip over because that's what you do. And that was the 1, 2, 3. Good finish, a lot of fun. And of course, like I said, commentary was pointing out that this was going to be a lead-in to what's to come for the Impact tag titles. So we go backstage, Motor City Machine Guns are met by Ace of Base, and they're like, hey, you guys are pretty good. You know, you beat a team that we beat, and maybe you can do that and parlay into a tag title run of yourselves, which is exactly, by the way, what Motor City Machine Guns were doing to Ace of Base before they won the tag titles. They were being complete pricks.
Well, poor Ace of Base. Just be nice to them.
That's not what happens. Ace of Base.
That is not what happens. This is my girl Athena, okay? Really fun to watch her beat people up, but I'm like, you're just so mean to everyone. Just be nice.
Before they went to Japan, this is exactly how Motor City Machine Guns spoke to Ace of Base. And then Ace of Base struck it big in Japan, almost winning the Super Junior tag, and they didn't. So Ace of Base still gave him a tag match. They won. Anyway, Sabin challenges Ace of Base to a tag title Ultimate X match at Rebellion. So that's what we're doing.
That's going to be fun as hell.
It's going to be real fun for those four to fly around and put the tag titles online. I am looking forward to it.
It seems like they saw the sign, the Ace of Base. They opened up their eyes and saw the sign. I would love to know who you think is going over there, because I am always impressed by Ace of Base, and it seems like they have a lot of momentum right now. Do you think we get a tag title switch in Rebellion?
No. I think Ace of Base are the team to keep it on for a little while longer. Motor City Machine Guns just re-signed with Impact Wrestling. They did re-sign a deal.
Good
but
for them.
They're a team that they're evergreen. They will never look bad. They have to falter real. They have to shit the bed for a solid month for people to really turn their backs on them.
Yeah, it's always fun when like people are so good at wrestling, you have to work to make people stop cheering for them. And that's definitely the category that they fall in.
Yeah, exactly.
But glad to hear that they re-signed. That sounds super fun. Keeping the tag titles on the champions, rarely a bad call, but sounds like a good call in this case because it just seems like I hear more and more about them like over the course of the past few months. Like feels like this has been really, really successful for them. And to your point, Motor City Machine Guns, they could be transitional to anyone at any time ever. Like they're just great. So very cool. Very cool.
I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with Ace of Base continuing on, because for the longest time you had Impact fans saying, Ace Austin is your guy, Chris Bay is your guy. And then individually as singles, they weren't getting it done, or at least they weren't being booked to get it done. And then they teamed them together, and then they joined Bullet Club. And it was like the heavens parted and everything started to make sense, and everything started coming together for them as a tag run. And I love that. So with that, M.A. Solko sends us a super chat, says, do Motor City Machine Guns need to go full heel? I don't think so, because it's hard to boo them. They couldn't do it at Sacrifice when, they had the Steve Macklin thing, and it was a really awkward match at Sacrifice because they had to make up for Josh Alexander being out and yada, yada, yada. But like they tried to do something heelish, but it didn't really work. So I don't think they need to go full heel. I don't know how you feel about Motor City Machine Guns maybe turning the corner on that.
I think I really like Chris Sabian as a heel. But I feel like as a duo, part of what makes it hard to turn them heel is the fact that people were rooting for them as individuals for so long that now that things are finally clicking as a tag team, I think you almost don't want to turn them hard heel. I'm less aware of like the context that they're functioning than you, but like I think it's okay to let them be tweener and just let people like them even if they're kind of working more heelish. I don't think they need to go like super bad guy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can definitely get there because I don't need everyone to be like hardline heel or hardline face. Let those shades of gray make sense where they will. And this is one of those times.
I just realized how tiny my Twitter handle is on this graphic, and this is hysterical.
I had some time on my hands. Robert also sent us a super chat saying, I thought it was a great show tonight. Solid wrestling throughout and closed on a great angle. Hi, Kate. Thanks for keeping Joel company tonight. Yes, Kate, I guess, is here, and it's fine.
It's my civic duty.
Exactly. Edward Edwards approaches Kenny King backstage. These are people you remember because you talk about Ring of Honor, and they used to be in Ring of Honor. So
it's true. And I tend to love people named Eddie in wrestling. I'm a big Eddie Guerrero fan, big Eddie Kingston gal. Love me some hot stuff, Eddie Gilbert.
So hold on, if that's the case, you must double love Edward Edwards.
It is right? Like it's a double down on the common thread between all those people. So he is. I like him. I'll put it that way. I like him. I really love Kenny King. I really, really do. His work in ROH was fantastic. But I feel like they should have some good chemistry together.
They did, except not anymore. So Eddie comes up and he's like, I want. Well, they did. So Eddie's like, I want to make sure that I can count on you to have my back tonight when I face PCO. And King's like, oh yeah, just like you have my back at Sacrifice, except you didn't have my back and you were just a jerk. And Kenny King's like, nobody was talking about Kenny King after that car crash, after I was a crash test dummy for PCO, his words, by the way. And he tells Eddie to call whoever ran over PCO with the car, which it's been very apparent for the longest time, and they pay that off later on tonight. So Kenny King walks away from Eddie Edwards, and he's going to go seek out bigger, better things, and we'll find out a little bit about that later. So instead, we continue on. Scott D'Amore is talking to Tommy Dreamer backstage. Tommy's like, hey, I was serious, Scott D'Amore, about having you on my team for Hardcore War at Rebellion. I don't know if you saw this, Kate, but at Rebellion, it's going to be Team Tommy Dreamer and Team Bully Ray.
That I did see, and you can probably guess how I feel about how much I don't want to see that.
They set up the teams tonight, and we'll talk about that a little bit longer. But yeah,
there's a hockey player in here. What are we doing?
Oh, we're going to talk about that too. But I got feelings. So with this whole thing, I said, if this goes all the way to Rebellion, I'm done. I'm no longer covering Impact Wrestling. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it. We're done. And yeah, it's happening. And I'm guessing I'm still going to be part of this.
Doing the show?
Yeah. Because
I'm assuming like in the matches. They're not captains that chose teams.
The captains of their matches. They're the captains and they're in the match. It's just like War Games, but they're old.
But they're old. I'll tell you what ship I'm not getting on. One word, they're the captains. What are they doing? They have so much great talent over at Impact. This is not the way to do it. Though I will say, in a multi-man thing, if you're going to have them stick around, if you're going to have them be active competitors, which if you know my feelings on Jeff Jarrett, you probably know how I feel about this. This is probably a good way to do it because you are actually using their names and their notoriety to build out something that makes sense. I just don't ever want to see them in a match like this. That's why I was hoping. I was like, maybe it's like a designated captain thing.
So we called it.
There's only one captain, and it's Shawn Dean, and MJF will never beat him.
That's right. Wait, wrong show. Anyway, we've been calling it Busted Open Island because that's exactly what it is. And for Tommy, I'm like, we don't need Tommy Dreamer in a ring in 2023, especially the amount of times we've been seeing it. Bully ended up being a shockingly fun addition in his match against Josh Alexander at Hard to Kill because they made it a plunder match. They made it a hardcore match, and that was good. That's what Bully does. There was enough hidden to make the match fun.
Always a good sign, but you're like, how much can I hide?
Well, that's fine. You know what? It made sense because Josh Alexander is normally like the technical wrestler guy. So this kind of split up his title defenses. And I didn't hate
there's a fun thing there.
Yeah. So it worked out for that. But then they kept going. And then they brought in Tommy. And then they brought in Mickey. And then David LaGreca from Busted Open came in and moderated some stuff and got hit with a stool once or twice. And it's fine. I get it. This is a big crossover promotion thing that they were doing with Busted Open Radio. Cool. I get it. I like the folks at Busted Open Radio, so I just don't need to.
No, you don't, Joel. You hate every other media outlet in the world.
Very famously do talk trash about all of them. Yes. So Tommy,
we got heat.
That's right. That's heat. So Tommy and Bully in 2023 isn't exactly my thing. However, we'll get through this and then we'll move on, hopefully, after Rebellion, past Tommy, past Bully. But is Scott D'Amore going to be on the team? He's like, nah, I'm not doing that. Tommy's like, you've got a history with Scott. Tommy says he's got a history with Scott and Bully, and that there's a passion there. And Scott, you never had your last match. And Scott's like, nah, I had my moment at Sacrifice. I want no hand at being in that match, but I believe in you, Tommy Dreamer. You get the job done. And I'm sitting here like, well, keep better because I don't want to see another fucking match between these people ever again.
Okay, so on the surface, this doesn't sound that bad. But if Joel actually really doesn't like something, it's bad.
We're going to get to the 6-man tag soon enough, Kate.
You have a much higher threshold than me. I would say you have a much higher threshold than most wrestling fans. Maybe Ryan, who was in the chat earlier, is the only other person I know who is not. Who's like probably on your same level of it. In that, which I appreciate people who sit down and look for things to enjoy about the wrestling they're watching. So if you're fed up with this, even though it sounds okay on the surface level, I'm going to say it's probably pretty bad and probably overdone. Like it sounds like maybe it's gotten dragged out a little bit.
It has. And so I think about my fandom a lot and how I relate or how I fit into the space where everyone has a different kind of expectation as to how they take wrestling and how they feel about wrestling. And I've never been like a hardcore sports fan. So I don't get that hardcore sports fan mentality in wrestling where it's like my guy lost, therefore it's the end of the world and I hate everything. And there are a lot of people like that. Or my company isn't doing well, so I'm pissed off and yada, yada, yada. I also see it as entertainment first. And if I'm not entertained, then I'm not going to watch it. Or if I'm not entertained, I'm going to find other reasons to find myself entertained by it because nothing is serious in wrestling.
Sports entertainment, Joel Pearl.
Yes. Well, it's not.
How do you feel about a musical number of Pennies from Heaven?
I thought he was saying panties from heaven first.
Hey-o!
I thought he was changing the lyrics because he's a heel. I was wrong. Speedball Night Fail.
Sincerely sounds like Impact's like the perfect product for you. For the perspective of like that's a yeah,
and in some ways it is because Chris and I talked about this, and even Denise and I talked about this when we did a post show. My like Impact fandom has always been rooted, especially now. They're a Canadian company, so now I have to promote them and I have to enjoy them. They weren't always, but there's always been something at Impact for everybody, but not in like a weird way like WWE sometimes plays it off where they think they're SNL. Impact's like, yeah, we have Speedball and Jonathan Gresham, and then we have Josh Alexander, and then we have a Knockouts division that's like tip top and full of incredible wrestling. And then we have the Undead Realm, where guess what? Sometimes you're just going to get into some spooky, funny, stupid shit. That's fine too. Anyway.
I love it. I love that for you.
Better than that Ring of Honor where all they do is shake hands and fight.
Oh my gosh, I forgot to mention at the end of Ring of Honor, by the way, you asked us our favorite spot. I didn't even call it out. Shame on me. Yamashita is just laying there, like not conscious, and Athena shook her hand.
Okay, that's really good. That does.
Honor's real.
I do appreciate that. That's okay. What you do.
We can talk about the show that we're reviewing, though.
Yeah, we'll do it. Anyway, Ryan Sullivan with the super chat. Let's hear from positive fans. Yes, my favorite people are the positive ones. Let's talk Speedball and Gresham 3. They had their second match at Sacrifice. Speedball got the win, evened it up at 1 apiece. That was a really good match. Go out of your way to check it out if you can. For this match, Trey Miguel's on commentary. He's the X Division champion, and the winner of this match was supposed to get the X Division championship match at Rebellion. Speedball lost to Tanahashi in the main event at Multiverse United. The match was really fun. Go check that out. That was another match that changed at the last second because Will Ospreay was unavailable. So they brought in Hiroshi Tanahashi, which I think it's pretty.
What a substitute.
It's pretty okay substitute, I guess. Commentary points out that Trey's combined days as champion is 321 and puts him in 5th longest overall behind Chris Sabin, some guy named A Double. I'm not going to give you the initials. The current Ring of Honor television champion, Mimosa Joe, and Trevor Lee, who went to the moon and currently resides in between NXT and SmackDown.
That is a fun little statistic.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't know, like he has picked up some real momentum with where he's at. And I'm just intrigued to see what's next. Like, do you feel like it's a title reign? And I'm just asking you questions because I didn't actually watch the show. Do you feel like it's a title reign?
Fair.
That like, is it something where, because it's a unique division, right? Is it something where you feel like the next guy gets made off of it? Or has it mostly been like, we've just got to watch Trey Miguel have awesome matches for a really long time in this very like specific and unique way?
So one thing I appreciate about the X Division is that it's none of those things, but it's also all of those things all at once, because some champions take the option C route where they cash it in for a world title shot, and then the X Division title is then vacated because that's their stepping stone, or at least they think that is. In Trey Miguel's case, this is actually a character championship for him because he turned heel.
Seemed that way. Yeah, like this was a really productive run for him.
Yeah. So again, this is a combined 321. So we're not that deep into his current reign, but as it stands right now, like he's having really good matches, which is to be expected, but he's also doing something he hasn't done in Impact, which is a good, solid heel singles run. And that's what this title is for him right now. That's what this is as the X Division champion. So it's working well. In this match, Gresham and Speedball, they do a lot of just callbacks to their other two matches. There's some really good stuff. Go out, check it out, because those two cannot put on a bad match. A lot of, like I said, a lot of callbacks, a lot of standoffs, equal moves, doing, double crossbodies at the same time, pinfall reversals. And early on, you've got Gresham kind of faking out Speedball, and Speedball eventually getting through all those fake outs and hitting his lightning kicks as he does. Trey is calling himself the face of the company. He calls himself a generational champion. He says he's the last singles champ standing, which, by the way, he's not wrong. Your world champion, your knockouts champion, both currently out of action.
Yeah, jeez.
So he's
well played, Trey.
Back to the match.
What was your favorite of the three matches? Do you have a favorite? The
second one.
Okay.
The one was
any particular reason?
Speedball getting the win was good because Canadian boy, but also the finish was a lot of fun. They did a lot of like one guy working the knee and one guy working the arm, and they were working towards a submission and the figure 4 submission spot, which comes into it in this match too. It was all about like who's going to reverse it or who's going to hit it and keep it on to get the submission. There was a lot of
who's going to hit it and who's going to quit it is really what you're saying.
Exactly. And we're all going to quit it. Anyway, so they go to the outside, Gresham and Speedball. They both almost accidentally knock out Trey Miguel. He gets angry, then he jumps both of them. So it's a DQ finish. I don't hate it because you know what's going to happen next. They go backstage, they're all arguing, and then Santino Marella, who is the director of authority in Impact Wrestling, and Dirty Dango, who is a super serious character, by the way. He wants to be a super serious wrestler. Kate, did you know this?
So serious.
Super serious. They're going to make it a 3-way elimination match for the X Division Championship at Rebellion. And you've got Trey being like, I just beat 5 other guys at Multiverse. So sure, whatever, I can do it. And then Santino's like, well, no, if it's elimination and you get pinned first, then guaranteed a new champion. So he kind of storms off and Dango says, hey, I've been in a few 3-ways. So if you need any help, just feel free to ask. And you've got Speedball and Jonathan Gresham's trying not to break. And he is... Think of this guy. This is super serious wrestler Jonathan Gresham, who cares nothing more about anything in pro wrestling than his character and the seriousness of pro wrestling being talked to about threesomes.
Love that segment that I didn't watch. Sounds like a hoot. I hate the booking that I didn't watch because I feel like for a third match of any of the 3, that's where you should have the most definitive ending, right?
So yes, and Cresta and I kind of sat here and said what we expected out of Sacrifice. We both expected Speedball to win, even it up at 2, and then the third match we thought would be at Rebellion, and the winner would become the number 1 contender for whoever is the world champion. They're doing the X Division Championship match. I don't hate it, and then this is a good way to have Trey look good or possibly lose his X Division Championship in like a new a weird scenario. So I don't
okay.
Like
a little bit of a protected loss. I can get into that.
Yeah, and it seems okay. So I'll
do you think it's Speedball's time?
I think it's Speedball's time to be champion. He's been X Division champion.
Okay.
He's had that championship before.
Did?
Good for him. He had it for so long, in fact, or not so long. He burned so bright that he had almost the same amount of, what was it, defenses of the X Division Championship, successful defenses, as, what was it, Christopher Daniels, when he was X Division champion.
Okay.
The whole story about it, and this was when Kazarian came in and won the title and pissed everybody off.
Oh yes, okay, I remember this now.
So so there's an interview in the can with Speedball Mike Bailey that I did at GCW where I actually asked him about that. I was like, where do you think this was? Did you think that you were going to face Christopher Daniels? Because like commentary hit that shit home, and the answer might surprise you. But yeah, we talked about that and a few other things. Hopefully that drops soon. But yeah, so Speedball's been a champion and he's done great work as X Division champion. Whether or not he becomes world champion next, that remains to be seen.
If Samoa Joe was the king of television, you are the king of interviewing TV talent at indie shows to get hot goss like that. It's not as succinct, but it's relevant.
Oh, that's fine. You can use that. That's probably why they don't want me interviewing people at Rebellion. Anyway, so the design is backstage. They're sitting in a gym in the stairwell as brooding cult members do. And Diener is like, I'm surprised you've made it this far, Callahan. Callahan's like, I sacrificed myself for the design 2 years ago. Oh, that's Eric Young. Callahan is a gruffer. Anyway, I'm not doing it. He says, I sacrificed myself for the design 2 weeks ago, even though we lost the time machine. Callahan's like, hey, listen, the design, you can either believe me or you can walk away if you don't trust me. Let's go to step 7 because they're on a 7-step plan so that Callahan joins the design. I don't think you knew that, but now you do. Diener
I wrote it. I do know.
Oh, you do? Okay. So
no, I inked that whole idea.
Perfect. Wonderful. So step 7, according to Cody Diener, as he is to prove that you believe that there is no authority above the design and you're willing to eliminate all other authority in your life. Callahan's like, how do you do that? And Khan's like, figure it out. And Callahan's just like, all right, I will. And he storms out. And that's it. And it's just done. And so there you go. Callahan then beats up Authority.
This show loves murder.
Yes, but only when someone's leaving.
I know, that's what I was just going to say, is it feels like this spot calls for murder if you're like, you have to destroy the Authority above me. I don't think that's where it's going, but we have to keep that as a possibility because Impact loves to murder people.
If they murder the one person I was thinking they were going to murder, I'd be so happy.
We're going to clip that at 1:44:15. Who do you want them to murder?
Well, we're going to talk about that person in a moment, because first I want someone that I never want to see murdered, and that's Jody Threat, who made her debut on Impact Wrestling. We all at Fightful love Jody Threat. I know Shawn has like this incredible love for her, but I'm going to pull the trump card.
Everyone in the world loves Jody Threat, and if you don't, you are not in the world. How about that?
You know what, Kate? I'm going to gatekeep Jody Threat for a minute, because I knew about her before Sean Ross Sapp ever did.
Wow. Oh, I'm Joel. I know my Canadian women's independent wrestling talent.
My Toronto independent wrestling talent. Anyway, Jody Threat has her debut match against. They're calling her Terra Rising here. Her name is Taylor Rising. That's her indie name in Toronto. She's also really great. She's on the come up. She did the AEW Dark tapings in both. Did she do the Winnipeg ones? She definitely did Toronto. So go check out Taylor Rising.
I'm an American. It's all the same.
Whatever. But it's good. It's good to see Jody Threat. Man, the one thing I didn't like is in the middle of her match, they do a picture-in-picture. They cut to the backstage where Santino Marella's been knocked out. But anyway.
I hope that he's not murdered.
Well, that's the murder.
Very, very happy for Jody Threat. She's deserved to have been signed a long time ago. This feels like a great home for her the division is literally called Knockouts here, and she's there to knock people out. Let's go. Give me her versus Kylan King every day of the week. There's some really fun matchups waiting for her there that I'm excited to see, and she deserves it. This is awesome. This is an awesome thing. She's
doing these like corner lariats that are brutal, just knocking the shit out of. They're calling her Terra Rising.
Taylor sinking. Taylor getting her ass kicked.
You think Terra Rising is a blue blood? Anyway, so Jody takes a punch from Taylor Rising, and then she smiles, and I'm like, oh, you and Killer Kelly are going to be like best friends.
Oh my God, what a fun besties.
Yes, the redheads in Impact, they're all best friends after a while. It's the thing. Anyway, Jody does double knees into a German suplex release, and then her finisher, she's doing it. I don't know why. Jody, I love you. Please don't do the F5 as your finish. She calls it the F416.
That rules.
Yes.
No, a woman doing an F5 rules. No, you're wrong on that.
Okay. I'm willing to enjoy it. I just need the person she's doing it on to know how to take the move.
That is a very fair thing.
Yeah, it's very much a two-person effect, and if the other person's not taking it right, then it looks not great.
She's also going to turn heel on Cody Rhodes, which is just sad.
Yeah, but then Cody's going to hit like 20 crossroads, and then Killer Kelly's gonna like Simone Spike Cody in the end.
Yeah.
And Jody wins the Knockouts World Championship. I don't know why Cody's holding that title, but he is.
Well, he's not getting near the other one anytime soon. So.
All right, we're backstage. We're gonna follow up on Santino. So he's been knocked out, and then Dango and Scott D'Amore walk in, and Dango's like, had to be the design because they were going after people of authority. Thank you, Dango. And then Scott reminds Dango that he is not the assistant dictator of authority. It's first of all director of authority, and Dango was not appointed that position. And Dango's like, well, I was born with it, therefore I should be in control. This is super serious wrestler Dango, by the way. Scott's like, well, I'm the president of Impact Wrestling, so I actually have the control. And Dango's like, well, I want the design, and I want to team up with them against my best friend Joe Hendry. And Scott's like, it's kind of still a 3-on-2 scenario. And then Santino's like, no, I want in. I'm not going to do the voice because it's too late. And he's like, this is a gut check. I'm going to do this for my son, Marco, who's going to be in attendance at Rebellion. I'm going to dig deep and remind people who I am. I'm going to get my own revenge. So at Rebellion, it's going to be Santino, Joe Hendry, and Dirty Dango versus the design.
I believe in Joe Hendry. over Santino and Dango. Couple triple threats coming up for Rebellion, eh?
They're trying to get everybody on that card.
That's fun.
I don't hate it. It'll be a fun night.
I don't even like triple threats, but you know what? Dango, Santino, and Joe Henry, I'm in on that one. That's fun.
Well, you know what? Let's get in on something else, shall we? Let's get in on Fightful.
Super chats?
No, FightfulSelect.com. $5. For $5 a month, you get the most exclusive news, the most correct news, and a ton of other things. First of all, let's just roll down a couple things. Jay White signed with AEW. We have news. We got all the news on that. Why not WWE? Was WWE ever in the cards? Why did Jay White end up in AEW? We got that contract detail over on FightfulSelect.com. Maybe you want to know, why is Brock Lesnar having a tiff with Cody Rhodes? Was that in the plans? Was that a Vince McMahon thing? Go over to FightfulSelect.com. We got the details on that too. And of course, we have so much content. You've got Ask Grapsity, that dropped today. Sour Graps with Kate and Alex Pawlowski. That happens every Monday. And then on Fridays, sometimes Kate is like, hey, I'm going to hop on because I'm cool. And then they got Coexisting After Dark with Rob and Maggie. They're going to have Robert DeFelice, who is a writer here at Fightful and sometimes on their personality. They're going to do a little interview, talky thing. SRS does his Q&A, et cetera, because my notes say SRS. I never call him that. I call him Shawn. It's very.
I call him Jonathan.
Shawn, that's awful.
It's fun.
You know he's ducking me.
That I believe.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, I'm gonna come in for Rebellion, and he's like, no, I'm not coming in for Rebellion, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna see you for.
He doesn't want to face you for that Fightful Championship.
He doesn't, and I'm like,
he's a coward.
Come and see me at Forbidden Door, bro. I'll be the Forbidden Door, and he's just like, no, I got to go to the UK, and I'm like, you're a coward.
Do you want to shoot on him right now?
No, I shouldn't. Fine. Sean Ross Sapp, you're a damn coward. You'll never, ever hold that title that I hold dearly. Don't ask me where it is, because Jimmy Van has it under lock and key and doesn't trust me to carry it for some reason. But damn it, I am that champion. I am your forever champion. 2 years plus, and you'll never, ever get close to it. Fightful Select, $5 a month or more if you want. I don't really care.
2 years. My God, you're only in the first inning. According to your title reign.
Roman Reigns has me in the first inning. That's right. All right. M.A. Soko saying, should Callahan wear his cornet gimmick? What? I'm a little confused by that. Are you talking his white gear? Or is he going to carry around?
Does he have a tennis racket?
I hope he does.
That would be fun and silly.
It would be fun. I'd like to do it. And there you go. R. Harris is asking, Kate, do you think we'll see Santino Marella?
We can only hope and pray. It's like Santina, huge gap, Mercedes Moné as far as people that could come in for that pay-per-view. So
former what they call that? She was the former Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal winner. Mm-hmm. Yes. Anyway. Ian Miller's backstage with Tasha Steele. Speaking of the knockouts, Steele says, "Oh, it was the Santino was the gimmick for okay, fine, the IPWF. Thank you. I don't cover Impact Provincial Wrestling Federation because I think it's dumb."
Wow.
We once challenged our people here to give us like a silly amount of likes, and we would have covered the throwback throwdown special that Impact was doing. They didn't even get us close. So no, we didn't do it. So clearly,
did they get you a nice amount of likes?
No, they did a little bit better than that.
Okay.
But leave it here.
You guys should leave a thumbs up on this video, because this is the most in-depth analysis you could get about this show that I definitely watched.
Absolutely. GML is with Tasha Steele in the back. Tasha Steele came back at Sacrifice, and she's like, hey, last time we saw you, something wasn't working. And then in walks Giselle Shaw. And she's like, we don't have a problem, do we? And all of a sudden, Giselle's like, no, we have a problem. You meddled in my business, and Savannah Evans got an upgrade by joining me, so you are jealous. And then Steele is like, no, we'll just take care of business next week. So next week's Giselle Shaw and Tasha Steele. I'm looking forward to that. It's gonna be good.
That should be real fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun stuff.
I love Tasha Steele, man.
All right, we gotta talk about it. 6-man tag. Bully Ray teams up with the Good Hands. That's Skylar and Hotch taking on a team of Tommy Dreamer, Yuya Uemura, and former Detroit Red Wing defenseman Darren McCarty. Impact up until this point was doing really well with special guest wrestlers who come in and athletes, former other athletes. You know, they had some really good matches with them. This is not one of those times. I was about to call you Cresta.
I've been called far worse. That is a huge compliment to call me Cresta. I don't have the facial hair gimmick down quite yet.
You could.
She does.
You
I can't imagine Darren McCarty is like the crossover athlete that works here. I can't imagine most hockey players are.
It was so he comes out. Darren McCarty comes out wearing a Rob Probert t-shirt. And if you want to know just how confused that makes people, Rob Probert died in 2010. He played for the Red Wings and the Blackhawks. He was a very famous enforcer for the teams, but again, died in 2010, 13 years ago. And he's wearing this t-shirt as if he's like super excited. Yeah. So Dreamer wants D'Amore for his team. And of course, Bully already has the good hands for his team. That's going to be at Rebellion. I still hate this story. I hate everything. But in the match, I do like this. Bully eventually gets tagged in. He does the flip, flop, and fly, which has been a Tommy Dreamer thing ever since Dusty died. And as he's doing it, he's making fun of Tommy Dreamer's family and the fact that he used Tommy Dreamer's family against him to get the win at Sacrifice. And then Tommy kind of breaks out when he's going to do the elbow, and Tommy hits a DDT. It was a good spot. Darren McCarty then tags in, and it all goes to hell. Tags in.
No, this is not the part we're glossing over. We are digging in. Define in great detail goes to hell.
So I'm going to put over John Schuyler and Jason Hotch. Hotch and Schuyler did so well selling and setting up for McCarty that they deserve a huge bonus. They made Darren McCarty look better than he had any business looking in this match. So McCarty tags in, and then he starts tagging Schuyler and Hotch with his fist. And he's like, he does an awful Luthez press. Like he's on both feet when Hotch goes down to take that Luthez press. So he goes on his knees and he starts doing the hockey punch. And it just looks really bad.
Shane McMahon punches.
And at this point, I'm just like, bless them. They truly are good hands. Hotch and Schuyler.
My God, I'm just doing the job to Darren McCarty.
And McCarty tosses them both out of the ring. And whatever. Then Bully Ray teases getting into a hockey fight with Darren McCarty. And then he just leaves the ring, and Schuyler blindsides Darren McCarty, hits him in the back. McCarty hits a half-good stunner on John Schuyler and gets the win for his team. Darren McCarty pins John Schuyler.
Was watching it more or less ridiculous than it just sounded?
I don't even know anymore.
Bully Ray teasing that he's going to get into a hockey fight just under any circumstances.
And like, he's doing it because McCarty basically beat him up in a hockey fight at Sacrifice. Doesn't mean you try again, Bully. He's still a former hockey player with fists.
No.
I don't know. For a guy who has good psychology, ring psychology, Bully kind of missed it this time, in my opinion. The heat. Anyway, post-match, Kenny King goes after Team Dreamer, which I really appreciate. And then Frankie Kazarian shows up, goes after Kenny King. Then Masha Slamovich goes up, and she starts attacking the members of Team Dreamer. And then Killer Kelly goes after Masha Slamovich. So at Rebellion, it looks like Team Dreamer will be Tommy Dreamer, Yuya Uemura, Frankie Kazarian, and who knows? There's a mystery opponent. And then Killer Kelly. Mystery opponent, they're teasing Scott. I feel like it's just going to be Rich Swann. Sure, fine, because Kazarian and Swann were on a tag team recently. Sure. And then Bully Ray's team will be Bully, Hotch, Schuyler, King, and Masha. So there's one extra spot. Some people have told me they think it's Nick Aldis. I feel like every time there's like a question mark, people are tossing Nick Aldis out.
Like, Nick Aldis.
It's like, what's Nick Aldis doing? He's connected to this. Like, he's everywhere. All In was announced by AEW yesterday, and everyone's like, Nick Aldis is going to be on the card.
I had to drop my car off. I had a rental today.
Was Nick Aldis your mechanic?
I was going to say, you know who was waiting for me at Enterprise Rent a Car? Nick Aldis.
Nick Aldis.
You know what's kind of a bummer? I feel like he would be a great fit in WWE. But I don't, I obviously understand people's hesitations about wanting to go there. But like, they didn't say they went out a hiring freeze, but Triple H sure brought back a lot of people and then they suddenly stopped. and a sale doesn't usually lead to more signings in most cases. But I applaud him for leaving NWA because, what they're doing there. You got Billy Corgan comparing Tyrus to Ernie Ladd. Off base, but I do hope we see him like on a televised show again, because I think he's a good heel at an archetype that people I think can oftentimes make feel very inauthentic and cheesy. So I would like to see it. I think he might be a nice grounded voice in a silly wacky cast of characters and Impact. Like that could be a fun place for him to show up. But until then, we will speculate constantly where Nick Aldis is showing up.
Put him in NXT. Let him become a player coach. Let him do the Chris Hero spot that they never did with Chris Hero.
Maybe.
Who knows? Either way, I don't hate the idea of Nick Aldis coming back, but the last time they did that, Nick Aldis just kind of like showed up and was part of a team, and that was that. And it was very, very last second and very strange. There was no build. It just happened. Anyway,
the way it is sometimes, Joseph.
That's fair. Sometimes it just happens. Just be there.
Like our main event today, sometimes things just change.
We're still going. We still got another match and a couple more.
Oh, no. I'm just saying, like, circumstances, man.
Yes.
They're a bitch.
We're showing footage from Multiverse where Deonna Purrazzo wins that 4-way to go to Rebellion. Deonna beats Miya Yamashita, Giselle Shaw, and Masha Slamovich. Sorry, Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich are kind of interchangeable because they're both redheads. So...
Wow, you're a racist.
In the Impact world, they are interchangeable.
In Joel's brain, they are.
Only in my brain.
Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly are very different humans.
They are very different, I know. And I like both of them as wrestlers and as humans, so I get that going for me. Anyway, Deonna's like, I was a 4-time world champion. I was a knockouts champion with my best friend, and I had all of that, and I went from that to nothing. Some people, nothing, see it as a bad thing. But for the Virtuosa, it's a blank slate to create. Deonna built the age of Virtuosa from a blank slate, and with the knowledge and expertise that she's gained and the experience she's gained, what she can create is limitless, like Keith Lee. She's prepared. She didn't say that. She's prepared for this match despite not expecting to be in a knockouts title match at Rebellion. But now, will it be Jordynne Grace or will Mickie James be involved? And I like this. She points out Jordynne Grace has never defeated Deonna, but Deonna's never defeated Mickie James. So at Rebellion, Deonna's like, I'm going to become a 3-time knockouts champion, and that's that. I love that she points out her relationship to Jordynne Grace and to Mickie James, makes this match a little bit more important. Are you looking forward to this as a 3-way?
It just feels like a little triple threat heavy of a card.
So my general...
But I like it when the stories call for it.
Right. My general feeling is that they'll make this a triple threat, whether or not Mickie is cleared. And Mickie will either have limited interaction in the match, but still be a part of it and drop the title, or she's totally fine and she'll be fully part of the match and potentially keep it. That's how I see it.
Who do you think wins?
That's the problem. If Mickey's fine, I see Mickie retaining. If she's not, and it's just, and Jordynne and Deonna are the two options, if you're going to turn Jordynne heel, do that and have her win and have Jordynne use the heel reign as the champion. We flip-flop now because Deonna has also slowly become a face in Impact Wrestling, which is territory we haven't seen from her in a long time, if ever. So
right,
an opportunity there.
That could be fun.
Who would you like to see as the Impact Knockouts champion?
I would like to see Cresta Star.
I don't know if she gets that title. She's great.
I think she will someday. I don't know if now's her time. But she has all the tools. I don't know. There's something in my gut, and I don't watch like from wall to wall, but I just feel like another Deonna reign might be good. Like it doesn't have to be as long as her last one. It doesn't have to be as momentous, but like if there's an uncertainty thing, I think there could be something really fun in having Deonna kind of take it back. There's a natural story there if Mickie James does come back sooner than later, where she could be, constantly stunting Deonna or whatever. But I'm definitely not opposed to a Jordynne Grace heel run. I just feel for some reason like she's such a she has such a specific place and way in wrestling. I would love to see her with the Knockouts title here, but I feel like she's almost more productive doing other things because she just offers something that's so different than anybody else has.
What's really frustrating is that we continue to wait for Masha Slamovich to become the Knockouts champion. And if Deonna wins, then that is automatically what I want to see, is Masha take that title.
That could be really fun. And you could do like a series of matches with that, because I feel like ring-wise, I mean, fire.
Or you have Deonna and Masha, or not Deonna, you have Jordan and Masha one more time. And this time it's like, it's real because they've both come so far, and you'll have a new character for Jordan Grace to kind of sink her teeth into in this match.
It sounds like Masha's next up in line though, which I think is awesome. She deserves it.
Yeah, Dobby the Brain Heenan with the super chat saying, "I'm ready to see Deonna back as champ. Personally, she's been out of the main title picture for a year, and it doesn't feel right when she's not." There's another thing too, and that's Steve Macklin and Deonna Purrazzo. It's public that they are together, but in Impact, it's not. This could be a good way to introduce them. The problem is, Deonna's a face, Macklin's a heel. It would be a little awkward to do like a power couple thing.
Is there a chance they could turn Deonna heel? Probably not, right? She's a more natural face.
Well, now she is. She was a great heel for a long time in Impact, but now they're starting to make that turn for her. People want to cheer her because she's a great wrestler. And that's, she's also been on such a journey and has been through so much shit that people are like ready to cheer for her. So as much as I like the idea, you got to kind of play out Deonna the face, because you ain't you're not making Macklin a face.
No.
That guy, especially after tonight, he ain't doing it. So who knows? Yeah. Let's talk about Edward Edwards versus PCO for some reason. I mean, we know why they're doing it. They've been beating each other up in deserts for the last 7 months.
Another triple threat. You have Edwards,
and PCO.
And PCO, yeah. So
I don't hate this match just because it's one of those, it's basically an indie spot fest was what this was.
Okay.
Like, they do a giant top rope Hurricane Rana to open the match from PCO to Edwards. They do spots on the floor because PCO hates his body. And then PCO eats a superplex from Edwards because he hates his body too. They take off their shirts and they chop each other because that's just what men do.
That sure is. PCO has no business doing what he's doing in general, never mind at his age, but it's incredible that he lives to tell the tale, never mind remains healthy through these things, right?
Just absolutely bonkers.
Bananas. Impact will throw that at you, I feel like, sometimes, where you're just like, here is absolute insanity. Enjoy, and I do. Like, it's pretty fun.
Hear me out. PCO joins Decay. Him, Black Taurus, Crazy Steve. Those
PCO.
And PCO. That's the trio.
I kind of could see it, to be honest. Yeah. I feel that could be really fun.
They do a ref bump. Edwards pushes the ref into PCO's path, and then PCO knocks into him. PCO hits a scorpion death drop, and then he goes to tease doing the PCO salt from the top, and then out comes Lish, and she's pleading with PCO, no, don't do it, you'll kill him. And then as PCO is about to stop, Lish grabs a kendo stick, knocks out PCO. Edwards hits PCO with a buckle bomb, a straight jacket suplex, and a Boston knee party, and he gets the win. As expected, yes, Lish was driving the car that ran over PCO in the desert. We're all shocked. Who would expect it? Except we talked about it for fucking weeks on this show. Anyway.
We love murder and attempted murder.
Because when there's murder, they're not coming back. When there's attempted murder or people getting thrown into caskets, we're open the door.
It's true.
I'm looking at you.
Or arrested for murder, right? In Ty Valkyrie's case.
Well, she was then brought to the undead realm in her goodbye. So she's not dead.
Oh, that's right.
She's just off. She was carted off to jail, but now she's just out in the undead realm, maybe.
Yeah, because they were like, she might go to Jacksonville or Orlando Penitentiary or whatever that was.
Yeah, they were going to stay.
That was adorable.
One is worse than the other. It was really funny. Post-match, PCO gets up and chases Edwards and Lish out the door. They are getting into a car, and then they drive away while PCO just yells, "Eddie!" like over and over again to a comedic degree.
That's delightful.
They'll do a match at Rebellion, I guess.
Is Alicia underrated Properly rated.
She's
Overrated.
She's very popularly rated. She's great.
Okay.
She is a sweet human being. She is a talented wrestler. She is not going to be a Knockouts World Champion.
Okay. I feel like every time I see her, I'm kind of behind her. Like, I get it.
I really wanted her and Savannah Evans to do a tag team of like reluctance.
I was gonna say I could see her being like great because she was in a tag team, right?
She was in a few tag teams, but she was never anyone's like pick.
She was never the belle of the ball.
The belle of the ball. That's right, because she's got that Boston accent. The very grating Boston accent. Sorry, Lish, you're wonderful. I'm not going to talk shit about you or your accent.
No, I'll talk shit about that accent. It's rough.
As in New
Not her
York,
fault.
New Jersey, you can do it.
But I'm in New Jersey.
Yes.
I'm not saying our accent is better. It's disgusting.
I'm
But
a Canadian.
The
All
Boston
accents
one is
are.
rough.
Canadians don't have accents. That's what happens.
Guess you do it.
Sorry. Giselle Shaw versus Tasha Steelz next week. Taylor Wilde versus Jessica next week. That's going to be sick. Callahan and Angels team up against Dango and Hendry. King versus Kazarian. That's going to be fun. And winner gets advantage in Hardcore War at Rebellion. And Mickie James makes her final decision. We find out if she'll be in the match at Rebellion. Speaking of which, we have a Humber chat from Andrew who says, what match are you most looking forward to at Rebellion? What other matches do you think will be added to the card? And do you think we'll see any returns or debuts? I'm looking at the card for Rebellion. I'll run it down real quick and then we'll talk about Josh. Knockouts tag match, Coven versus Death Dolls, X Division match, Trey, Gresham, and Speedball, Design versus Santino, Dango, and Hendry, Hardcore War, that's the teams of Bully and whatever, and Dreamer. Tag titles, Ace of Base versus Motor City Machine Guns, Knockouts title, Grace Purrazzo and maybe Mickie, and then the Impact title is Macklin and Kushida. I am most looking forward to that tag title match. The one that stands out for you.
That's fair. I think the triple threat for the X Division is that just seems like it's going to be an absolute blast.
Yeah.
And from a story perspective, if it's Steve Macklin's time, I'm just genuinely happy for that guy. And they were working on a really cool story, so I hope they follow through with it and it doesn't get derailed. And that match should be incredible, like Kushida and Steve Macklin. Let's go.
Next week when Crest is back, we'll give our predictions for Rebellion. We'll run down the final card. And I don't know what other matches will be added because right now this is a pretty stacked card. You got 1, 2, 3. 4.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's pretty heavy, right?
Yeah, it's already 7 matches. So at this point, one more match is probably just going to be for the countdown show. And that's fine. They'll do a 6-person X Division thing.
Hell yeah. That sounds like a whole bunch of fun.
Yeah. Anyway, and then for returns or debuts, honestly, I think new champions are going to be the big statement for that show.
Who do you think's going over?
We're going to talk about that next week. We'll do our predictions. You can join us. It'll probably be earlier than when it is now.
Look, I didn't not watch the show. Didn't not watch the show to not talk about it, but fine. I'll leave it for you and Cresta.
You can join us if you want. We're down the home stretch, folks. Get in your super chats and your Humper chats at humperchats.com. Let's talk about Josh Alexander relinquishing the Impact World Championship.
Let's talk about also leaving us a thumbs up. Just real quick, we'll talk about that.
Maybe
leave a thumbs up on this video.
Do that. And subscribe to us at Fightful Overbooked as well.
Yes, where you can see more of the two of us, but usually I've actually watched the things that we're talking about.
Have you, though?
Usually.
Macklin and Kushida are in the ring and the crowd is chanting, "You tapped out" at Steve Macklin, which is just making me laugh. Because if you don't know, Sacrifice, Macklin tapped out to Kushida's hoverboard lock. Scott D'Amore's in the ring and he says, every reign must end and sometimes injuries happen and sometimes reigns end abruptly and unexpectedly. But with every ending brings a new beginning and a new champion will be crowned at Rebellion. And then he says the current champ needs to relinquish his title. So out comes Josh Alexander with his wife and his son Jet, who looks like he has a Speedball haircut. It's very cute. It's adorable. I think Jet has a new favorite wrestler, and it might not be Daddy. Crowd's very appreciative of Josh. Of course, they're chanting for him. And Josh takes the mic. He says he's going to talk about opportunities, saying that it's all the wrestler wants or needs. Says he's seen wrestlers quit before they got theirs, and others who did not live up to their own when they received them. Josh says, I grinded on the Canadian Indies for years until I signed with Impact Wrestling 4 years ago. He said he busted his ass, take risks, and burned the candle at both ends to give back to Scott D'Amore and Impact Wrestling. and to give back to wrestling as a whole. Then he talks about his work ethic and basically puts over that he was, the guy above all Impact and all TNA. He stands above all the former champions because he's the longest reigning champion, and his work ethic created that. They're chanting next world champ at Josh, and he starts getting emotional. He says, unfortunately, I'm out indefinitely due to a torn triceps, but I'm going to go back to where it all began. I'm going to be an Impact fan like everyone else, like my son, and I'll be watching Rebellion where a new champion is going to be crowned. And then he starts putting over Kushida, says he's got the hoverboard lock, can make anyone tap out, including Steve Macklin. And then he turns to Macklin and he says, I may not agree with your methods, but you earned this shot. And he wishes it was against him, but we'll find out if he has what it takes to be a champion. And then he says to both men, whoever is champion after Rebellion, if you hold it long enough, I'm going to come back and take back what's rightfully mine. That is the title I never lost. So he goes to relinquish the title, and this is the moment. As Josh grabs the title and goes to give it to Scott D'Amore, his son jumps up and grabs the title and hugs it and goes over to his mom. And it's just not a dry eye in the house. It was so well done. And then the crowd starts chanting new champ. They're just chanting new champ at Jet. It's very cute.
Stop it.
It's very sweet. And then he hands the title over to Scott D'Amore, does Josh. He gets the title back. Anyway. And then Macklin takes over. He's like, now we're done with the soap opera BS and all the formalities. Scott D'Amore, hand me the title because you all knew I was going to beat Josh Alexander. And then it just becomes this whole thing. Macklin's like, this was my mission. Josh, you were ducking me. And then in this reality, Josh Alexander, you fear me. This is your way out. Macklin tries to provoke Josh, who then takes off his sling. And then Macklin goads Alexander some more, trying to get him into a fight. And then Scott D'Amore intervenes, and he starts yelling and screaming. He calls Macklin a coward for questioning Josh and for challenging him to a fight in front of his wife and 4-year-old, fresh out of surgery because he's wearing his wrist, he's taped up and everything. And calls him a son of a bitch. Of course he does. And then Scott D'Amore says Macklin's been afraid to face Alexander, unlike Speedball Mike Bailey. And Bobby Fish keeps getting referenced. Okay? I don't know why. Show me the lie, but he keeps getting referenced in these promos.
Folks.
Where is the lie?
Where is the lie?
Where is the lie? Yeah, Scott calls him, like I said, cowardly SOB. And then he says, Scott's like, I'm supposed to be unbiased, but I hope you don't win the title at Rebellion. And then he brings up Kushida making Macklin tap at Sacrifice. Macklin's like, I tapped out, but I wasn't going to put my pride on the line because this wasn't for the title. So I tapped out to preserve and save face. And then Kushida gets in Macklin's face. They talk trash. They brawl. Kushida gets a hoverboard lock on Macklin. Macklin rolls out. And then Kushida dives out of the ring onto Macklin, grabs the title. And as he goes to present it to Scott D'Amore, he poses with it for a little bit, present it to Scott. That's the show. That's the entire promo. Go out of your way to watch it. It's on Impact socials. It's going to be uploaded to their channel. This, what I'm saying right now, does not do it justice.
Gotta watch it.
Really, really good promo. Orion Ben with the super chat saying Josh's son and Jade stole the segment Real Tears. Absolutely. It got me for a minute because it was, you can tell Josh's son Jet loves his dad and loves his dad's career and his job. It was really good stuff.
That's sweet.
Yeah. And then Albert Ponce with the super chat says, any possibility of Ace of Base crossing over and doing something with Finn Juice or Jay and Juice, not Finn Juice. Finn Juice is another time. US Bullet Club versus Japan Bullet Club could be fun for the control of Bullet Club. I don't foresee any crossover between AEW and Impact for the next little while. But do you want this, Kate?
Do I want it? Sure. Do I think it's gonna happen? Probably not. But it is funny. It's I think they kind of went their separate ways on that partnership, but now there's so many natural stories between the two brands, so it's a little bit trickier. But I would love to see the match. I would love to see Forbidden Door open up into a true multi-promotion, not just two promotions type thing. We're gonna see some ROH stuff on there, I think. But I definitely would like to. I would love to see that for wrestling, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
All I want to see is Finn Juice versus Ricky Starks and Action Andretti. That's all I want.
I'm in on that.
Yeah.
David, I don't know how injured Action Andretti is though.
He says he's fine. He said he was fine after whatever happened at those tapings. He was like, "No, I'm good." Just
okay, well, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. That was my feeling the whole time, because this isn't an AEW show, but it just felt like the Bullet Club's always been like, we're gonna be everywhere, but not really all together at any one time. So Ace of Base is like Impact's Bullet Club, and Scott D'Amore too, because if you didn't know, he's also part of the Bullet Club.
Of course.
Did you know?
Just
Jeff
like how
Jarrett?
Sue is a founding member of Chaos in AEW World. Yeah.
And Jeff Jarrett is also a member of Bullet Club.
All right, calm down.
He is.
Knock it off.
Him and Scott joined at the same time.
You don't have to vocalize every single thing, okay?
I do.
I stepped up because you had nobody to do the stream with.
Basically did this on my own.
You go.
Anyway. Hey, look, we're back. All right. Let's get out of here. This was Impact for April 6th, 2023. I really enjoyed this episode. I did not think I would, but I really did. There was a lot of good wrestling. There was a lot of good, just fun stuff happening in the show. And they did a really good job building to that Macklin and Kushida match for Rebellion, which is something they had to do on a dime. So I respect it. Kate, let's get out of here and do the thing.
I loved this episode too. Like I feel like it flew by. Like I felt like I blinked.
God, can you believe this woman keeps talking about things she doesn't watch? All right, plug them. Let's go home. I got to do the
Sure, my teeny tiny Twitter handle is right below, but you can follow me at Miss Kate Fame. I'm all over Fightful. Can't get away from me if you're sticking around. But FightfulSelect.com, doing Sour Graps every Monday night, Tuesdays on the main channel, doing the NXT Sour Graps post show. Wednesdays at the Mark Order podcast, talking all things All Elite. Thursdays, normally just doing the ROH piece of this show. Today, I wasn't the step host, but I was the host who stepped up. Fridays, normally doing the AW Rampage and SmackDown post show, but this weekend, Excite Wrestling. I'm doing a little media scrum before the show tomorrow, so you can watch at twitch.tv/Excite Wrestling and ask questions about wrestling media. It's me and Chris from WrestleNomics. Probably get to talk to some of your favorite Excite Wrestling and also their punk-ass champion Mike Skyro. So, and then I'll be there Saturday as well. So twitch.tv/Excite Wrestling, X with an X, like the X division here. No E. We don't do that. This is wrestling.
That's right. It's not about weight limits. It's about no limits.
That's right.
That's right.
And about drive and about power.
And about the food I'm about to devour. Are we doing a show on Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Fightful Overbooked. Go to youtube.com/Fightful Overbooked. Kate and I do shows. There's a ton of other stuff, content literally every day, and it's not just my face. You've got so many up-and-coming people in that wrestling sphere that need and deserve your time, so go ahead, check that out at youtube.com/Fightful Overbooked. Myself and Ella J do the run sheet over on it's our own thing. Just wherever you get your podcasts, just search the run sheet. It's got a brick wall and a purple logo, and that's Ella and I talking about wrestling news, talking about wrestling shows, just doing our own thing. So go follow us there. Check us out at the Run Sheet Pod on Twitter. And I'm here with y'all. Crest is back next week. Ladies and gentlemen, I am at Joel Pearl, JOELPEARL. Let's try that again. Ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.